Downtown police reporting a crash 24 eastbound near Shelby Avenue. Midtown got a crash. Charlotte Avenue at 20th Avenue. And traffic every 10 minutes every morning on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Hello, friends. Welcome in. It is a Tuesday edition of the Matt Murphy Radio Show, underway for another day. Happy to have you with us. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Whatever time you're able to give, we're appreciative of it, whether it's 5 minutes or the full 4 hours. That's what we're here for, to educate, to entertain, and I hope you're here for every single moment of it. My name is Matt Murphy, and thankfully, they still call this the Matt Murphy Show. It is May 13. You probably knew that. It's 2025. I certainly hope you knew that. Do you know all of the places where you can listen to or watch the program? If you don't, I'll run them down for you. You can find us on the on an app of your choosing, whether it's Spotify or iHeart or TuneIn or any of those app platforms. If we're not on an app platform, let us know. I don't think we're on Rumble yet on the television side of things, but we're working on that. But other than that, I think we're on everything. We also have our own, and you're invited to download that. Just type in Supertalk 99.7 WTN. Take us wherever you go. Of course, you can listen the traditional way, as many of you do, on 99.7 on your FM dial, 100,000 watts of blowtorch power. And then there is Talk TV, YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, Twitch. I don't know that I would recommend you do that today necessarily because you might get a little shock. Might get a little shock as I have shaved. And there you go. I don't know. Is Ken Weaver... By the way, there's Ken Weaver back in News Closet B. Hello, Mr. Weaver.
How you boys doing?
Hey, Ken, did you get the memo about facial hair at the company?
No.
Oh, you better get that one.
Must not have.
You must not have gotten that one.
What are you talking about?
Oh, well. I mean, well, just check your inbox. I think it's in there.
What, they're going to make us shave?
I didn't say that.
You seeing Murphy?
Do you see me? I mean, I didn't do this for no reason, Ken.
You didn't do. Chris has still got a beard.
Well, Chris didn't. Chris has got some sort of. It's not for beards, which is weird. It's for goatees. And they said mine classified as a goatee. Just check it out. Check it out.
I don't want to.
You know what?
Ignorance is bliss.
Do you know how many people listening to this radio show right now feel that way when you're delivering bad news?
Yes.
Ken Weaver says, listen up, I've got this. Well, I don't want to.
Well, I don't want to hear that.
It's more bad news. Can you get some good news in here, please?
Just give me the positive spin.
Well, anyway, but no, Weaver, don't you worry. But they did say that there's a limit on facial hair per show. And so I bit the bullet for you boys. Y'all are welcome.
That's a team player.
Yeah.
Thanks,
I'm
Matt.
doing what I can. You know, that's why Mandis is so bald. Because Jones got that nice long locks. And so Mandis has to deal with that.
Hair quota,
KGB's got a pretty good head of hair,
He
too.
does. KGB,
He does,
I mean, it was crazy there for a minute, but I think he's dating again. So
So he's getting haircuts now, is he?
trying to calm it down. So if you just joined us and we're not listening, so I shaved my face,
That
not
looks
my
good.
head. Well, that makes one of you, because here's the deal. You know, if you've carried facial hair for I shaved once before an event when I first got here. But other than that, I've carried the goatee. And on occasion, I wouldn't call it a full beard because I can't really grow I can't grow the Chris Webber. Mm-hmm. It's all patchy. It looks like rats have gnawed on my face in certain places. But whatever. I mean, God did not bless me with the ability. God only gives you so many wonderful things on your body and on your person, and I was blessed with other attributes.
Wish he'd have given me some.
So, I had 6 toes on one of my feet. Did you know that?
Dude,
That explains it.
I was born with 6 toes on one of my feet. It was a little nubby.
So you don't have it anymore?
There was no bone on it. It
Did
was
it
just
have
like
a nail?
It was a little nubby, and they wrapped like a medical band around it and
Like a rubber band?
Yeah, popped it right on.
Oh.
When I was a kid.
Did you
Probably
keep it?
hurt. probably why I'm in a bad mood all the time is because soon as I'm born, they're wrapping things around appendages.
All your patience was in that extra toe. Now it's gone.
Now it's gone. So anyway, I get here and I get the you shaved a couple, and that's nice. And then I walk into the studio. Why I don't know. And there's Belle Kay, producer of the Chad Benson Show, former producer of the Matt Murphy Show.
Yes, sir.
And Belle Kay says, "You shaved your face." And I said, "Yes, I did." And he said, and I quote, "God, you look old."
Did he say it with that kind of emphasis?
Yeah. He's like, "God, you look old." And I'm like, "Easy, Trigger." And he goes, "No, seriously, you look old." And I was like, "Well, I'm old. One, I am old. Number two, I know my face looks fatter." He goes, "No." I said, "I know it looks fatter." He goes, "No. Old."
Old, not fat, huh? Okay.
And I said, "Well, you always, when you shave your whiskers off, your chin looks smaller." I'm trying to give him an off-ramp. And he says, no. Old.
He just keeps doubling down today.
And I said, "Well, my eyes," I said, "I've had bags under my eyes." He goes, no, it's not your eyes. It's the rest of it. I'm like, "Well, thanks."
It's this.
It's the whole
Well,
bit.
To be fair, has he looked in a mirror?
I mean, come on.
He's no spring chicken. I mean, he can have all that long hair all he wants.
That's right.
It is gray.
He can wear those. He can wear those rock and roll T-shirts all he wants, but we know. We know.
Yeah.
That long hair turns gray.
It does.
Yep.
Anyway, so if you want to see the fact that I've shaved, you drive those numbers up, and when you go over there, like and subscribe to the Talk TV, to the YouTube, to the Facebooks or whatever. And how much is that costing folks today, there, Ken Weaver?
Absolutely nothing, boys. Yes.
Pretty good value.
That's pretty good for the money. You can see this ugly old face for no money.
Yeah.
And like and subscribe for no money. We've got a couple of guests to tell you about, or at least one to tell you about. Glenn Cranfield will be on today at 3:35. If you do not know the name Glenn Cranfield, he is I don't know, do we call him the director or the president? I think I want to say executive director. I'll figure it out before the interview, of the Nashville Rescue Mission. Glenn's coming on with us to talk about the events of the last 36, 48 hours, to include, obviously, the shooting of Cedric Wilson, a security guard outside of the Nashville Rescue Mission. I want to talk about some of the protocols that they have to go through. We discussed a little of this yesterday, but I also want to ask Glenn if there's any he's going to be Cedric Wilson is going to be taken care of in terms of his medical care, et cetera, it's my understanding. But we want to find out if there's anything that we can do for him. Because apparently this was a targeted shooting for some reason. Apparently this fella, the individual who is now deceased, Hunt, who was killed by Metro Nashville police outside of Frugal McDougal's a day later, that would be yesterday morning, he was in the facility and then out of the facility, and obviously you can't bring weapons into the facility, so he didn't have a weapon at the time. But we'll talk to Glenn about how the family's doing, and apparently Glenn Cranfield has visited Cedric Wilson, and he it is an absolute miracle from God Almighty that this man survived.
Yes, sir.
He was shot 11 times, and I understand it was in his lower extremities, but not only survived, but what I'm told by the folks over at the Nashville Rescue Mission, his prognosis is really good, and he is in, relatively speaking, good spirits.
Well, and the police department spokesman said that he was able to give a description of the person they were looking for who ended up being killed in the shootout.
So it was his description that gave them the...
Well, he was able to tell them who it was.
Wow.
And this is... And Don Aaron was saying he was critical. I mean, he was in bad shape.
That's just incredible. That's incredible. So we want to try to do what we can for him. You guys know that we love the Nashville Rescue Mission. We tell you that a lot in November and December. I don't think we tell you enough in May and June and July, because they need your assistance throughout the course of the year in making sure that they get those that need it the help that they need. So we will do that at 3:35 this afternoon. I will extend that conversation after we talk with Glenn Cranfield to include homeless camps, generally speaking, and something that Gavin Newsom has turned around on with regard to homeless camps in California. And I wonder, what about Nashville, Tennessee? What are we going to do? Now, we've seen some cleanup. What was that park? There was a park that they cleaned up and they eventually reopened it. Golly.
Oh, yeah, it's over on the west side.
Yeah. Mandis would know because Mandis was on top of this story. I had just gotten here. And I was like, Dan, let me talk to the person that you talk. Oh, I can't remember. It's like begins with a B. Does it begin with a B?
Let's see here.
Begins with a D. Anyway, it was like it was taken over by homeless people. I mean,
Yes.
completely taken over. And there was a fight, and eventually they closed it down, they cleaned it up, and they reopened it. And hopefully, it's not been retaken over by homeless people. But we do have a number of camps around town, and we need to know what we need to do about them. As I said yesterday, I'm not in favor of just randomly and voluntarily locking people up because they have hit hard times. But there's a major percentage of our homeless population that are mentally ill, and those people need help, and they need help inside of facilities. It is not humanitarian in any way to just leave them on the streets and give them a buck or two every so often. Brooke Mead, thank you, Karen, from the YouTube chat. That's the way to get it done.
Way to go, Karen.
What about it, Karen? Lisa gave it a go with Belle Mead, but Karen hit the nail on the head with Brooke Mead, and I appreciate you guys on the and I bet the Super Talk. Oh yeah, that's all of y'all are all over it on the chat. So I appreciate that on the Super Talk chat line, text line. Anyway, we'll discuss those matters coming up in just a couple of minutes. Let's talk for a moment about the latest update on ICE and the Tennessee Highway Patrol. It is a subject that I'm not going to let go of, nor should it be allowed to be let go of. And it is a subject that I think needs to be addressed at every city council meeting moving forward, every opportunity to speak to the mayor moving forward, every opportunity that we have to readdress this and challenge local leadership as to where exactly they are on the issue of criminal illegal aliens coming into the United States of America. We need to do so. It is high time that we called these individuals to account because, sadly, local elected officials, they talk in language that does not reflect reality. They say things like, well, no human... What was that? Jenny Welsh, the purple-haired counselor, old one-eyed, one-horned, flying purple people eater. Okay, I just squirreled myself. Can I tell you something, Ken?
Yes, sir.
All right, I'm just going to go ahead and do this because
Okay.
I wanted to do it 2 days ago,
Okay.
and I forgot about it for 2 days. I want to do it last week, as a matter of fact, and I forgot about it last week, and I forgot about it yesterday. Hold on, I just have to find it. I think it's in here somewhere. Hold on. A loyal listener to this radio show by the name of Chad sent me this, and I'm going to relate it to you as it was written by Chad. You ready? Since the conclave, this was during the conclave. Since the conclave has begun, I want to once again share the story of a previous search for a new pope, involving one gentleman by the name of Hans Grappe. Hans Grappe was raised in a Catholic school in The Hague and as a young man aspired to become a priest, but was drafted into the Army during World War II and spent 2 years co-piloting B-17s until his aircraft was shot down in 1943 and he lost his left arm as a result. Captain Grappe spent the rest of the war as a chaplain, giving spiritual aid to soldiers, both Allied and the enemy. After the war, he became a priest, serving as a missionary in Africa, piloting his own plane in spite of his handicap to villages across the continent. Sounds like a great guy. In 1997, Father Grappe was serving in Zimbabwe when an explosion in a silver mine caused a cave-in. Archbishop Grappe went into the mine to administer last rites to those too severely injured to move. Another shaft collapsed, and he was buried for 3 days, suffering multiple injuries, including, Ken, the loss of one of his right eyes. The high silver content in the mine's air gave him purpurea, which was a lifelong condition characterized by a purplish skin tone. Although Cardinal Grappe devoted his life to the service of God as a scholar, a mentor, and a holy man, all church leaders agreed he would never ascend to the papacy. You see, no one wants a one-eyed, one-armed, flying purple papal leader.
Grappe.
Yeah, see, it's grape. So I was sent that last week by a fella by the name of Chad, loyal listener to this radio show. And Chad said, I apologize for this, but I've enjoyed sharing this story every time there's a new pope. And you don't get to share it very often.
That's fair.
No one wants a one-eyed, one-armed, flying, purple papal leader. Grappe, yes. But back to Jenny Welsh.
Yeah.
And her purple hair. No, see, that's why I thought. Remember yesterday I was going to tell the Norm Macdonald joke about the frog and the loan?
Yeah.
When I got this email, that's what led me to think. I was like, that reminded me of that Norm Macdonald joke.
Totally does.
And it's all in the telling, baby. Mm-hmm. It's all, you got to enjoy the telling because you ain't going to enjoy the punchline. No, Jenny Welsh was, she said no human being's illegal. Well, I mean, and Freddie O'Connell, we disagree with all this. This is just, where would someone locally come out and tell me where y'all are on the issue of illegal aliens doing damage to this community? Because as much as I was frustrated with Fox 17 yesterday in their vague, random reporting about restaurants closing down, I'm going to give them credit. They received a conversation, or they got permission to have a conversation with one of the local or one of the regional ICE directors. And through that conversation, I would assume the Department of Homeland Security has now released the names of the following individuals arrested in the Nashville ICE crackdown. I'm going to relate. I want you to remember what Freddie O'Connell, I'm going to play it for you, what Freddie O'Connell said, that nobody's elite, that everybody's precious, that these family separations have us broken up and brokenhearted. And I want to know if Freddie O'Connell is brokenhearted about every single one of these people that were removed from Nashville streets to do no more harm to individuals in communities of people who are here legally and illegally alike. We'll do that in just a moment. We'll take your telephone calls as always. 615-737-9986. 615-737-9986. It's episode 809 of the Matt Murphy Show on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. It's getting hot out there, friends. Hot means your AC is going to be working more and more and more throughout the summer season. I mean, it's just getting warmed up, right? And by the time June, July, and August get here, your AC will be working double hard. With Jeff Eddy and Efficient Heating and Cooling, they're going to make sure that it works throughout the summer season. And here is a great guarantee for you. They try to encourage you to get your maintenance done. They do that by keeping maintenance cost low. $125 is all that you'll ever spend on a residential maintenance call with Jeff Eddy and Efficient Heating and Cooling, no matter how many units you might have. Oftentimes, it's less than that. But with Jeff Eddy and Efficient Heating and Cooling, they take it a step further. If you get maintenance done right now on your AC unit, and if it goes out for any reason over the course of this summer season, then that service call to come back out and figure out what's going on is waived. Now, they might have to buy parts or whatever for the unit, obviously, but the service call is free to you with Jeff Eddy and Efficient Heating and Cooling. It's the maintenance guarantee with Efficient Heating and Cooling. Now, when it comes time, they're an Elite Pro partner with Rheem, and they can help you select that brand new unit for you. And if it's time, you'll know, and Jeff Eddy can help you along that route. But he's going to get maximum life out of your AC unit, and he does so through maintenance and other methods. Just call him today and schedule that appointment at 615-784-4424 or find them online at efficienthvac.net.
Department of Homeland Security releasing more information on the illegal immigration enforcement operation in Nashville. Also taking a swipe at Mayor Freddie O'Connell. And Major League Baseball has erased a couple of lifetime bans. We'll tell you about it at 3:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Well, I'm not going to tell you about it now then, because I don't like to ruin Ken Weaver's teases like some host would do.
Thank you, Brother Murphy.
You're welcome, Ken. I'm here for you. It's a team effort, Ken. Just because I'm not on Team Goatee anymore doesn't mean I don't still love you.
How's the reception been from it, by the way?
Yeah.
You checked?
Several have reported in that Bell is wrong, which is nice of them. They're very kind.
Good, yeah.
John wrote in and wanted to know what's wrong with what? No, hold on. Is the guy on Super Talk TV Matt Murphy's son?
Wow.
Well, there you go.
That's an ego boost.
I hope not, because if so, I have some explaining to do. And several people are commenting on the fact that apparently I screwed the joke up and I said he lost his one right eye or something like that. So I apologize for screwing the joke up. And maybe later on I'll tell the Norm Macdonald, because many of you want me to tell the Norm Macdonald, and I'll do that later. But yeah, thank you. Look on Super Talk TV and you can see there's my chin. There's my double chin. So I got two of them. There's my cheeks. They're very big and they're nice and rosy. Okay, so DHS, the Department of Homeland Security, I am going to go ahead and go here. Says that the operation was a joint effort between Immigration and Customs Enforcement and the Tennessee Highway Patrol. That recent effort led to arrests of 196 illegal aliens with a criminal history, according to the Department of Homeland Security. Once again, we always told you that this was an effort to find those who were here illegally who also have additional criminal records. It was not about finding... Look, we can talk about those people who have been here for a long time that are not here legally and have to, at some point, get above board. We can have that conversation. I'm willing to have that conversation. I am not a hardliner on that. I know many hardliners on that. I know many people that would suggest that if you did the deed and came across the border illegally, you need to go back and start the process over. I'm not there, because I think we, as a society, as an America, have to take a certain level of responsibility of not doing anything about this for the last 40 years. And I'm not willing to disrupt families who have been here for 20 years and have staked roots because we weren't willing to deal with it 20 years ago. I've got a lot to say about this, and I'm going to have to do it in about 20 minutes, because we're going to talk to our good friend Glenn Cranfield right after the bottom of the hour news, which happens right now.
I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories. Got the full forecast and traffic in 5 minutes. And right now in Nashville, the Department of Homeland Security releasing more information on the Immigration and Customs Enforcement illegal immigration operation and taking a swipe at Mayor Freddie O'Connell. Of the 196 ICE arrests, DHS says 95 had prior criminal convictions and pending criminal charges, and 31 were individuals who were previously removed after re-entering the U.S. illegally. Assistant Secretary Tricia McLaughlin stated this operation resulted in getting gang members, sex offenders, and other violent criminals off Nashville's streets. And then here comes the swipe at O'Connell, saying Nashville Mayor Freddie O'Connell stands by pro-illegal policies, claiming that the enforcement operations were done by, quote, people who do not share our values of safety. Nissan says it plans to cut 20,000 jobs and shut down 7 manufacturing plants globally. But it's unclear what this might mean for its Tennessee operations. Channel 4 says it asked Nissan about plants in Tennessee and was told, and I quote, our manufacturing operations in Tennessee and Mississippi are strategically important to the company's future in this crucial market. Channel 4 says it pressed if jobs in Tennessee would be impacted, and the response from that Nissan USA spokesperson was, this is all I can share at this time. President Trump is in Saudi Arabia as part of a 3-nation Mideast tour. He says the U.S. is partnering with the Arab nation through business ventures and the military.
In addition to purchases of $142 billion of American-made military equipment by our great Saudi partners, the largest ever, this week there are multi-billion-dollar commercial deals with Amazon, Oracle, AMD, they're all here. Uber, Qualcomm, Johnson & Johnson, and many, many more.
And turning to sports, Major League Baseball has ended the lifetime bans for Pete Rose and shoeless Joe Jackson, making them Hall of Fame eligible. That's the latest news. Traffic and weather next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News. Antioch got a crash blocking the left lane 24 eastbound at Hickory Hollow Parkway. Traffic every 10 minutes every morning on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
I got a fabulous report from Dr. Brian McLaughlin at the Tennessee Sleep Apnea and TMJ Solution Center, and I just want to relate it to you. He was telling me that we need to do, you need to kind of re-up to make sure that the device, the FDA-approved oral device, that they fit specifically for your mouth. And they will walk you through the process of making sure that your airway is open, making sure that you're breathing throughout the course of the night. You're not stopping breathing, which is what sleep apnea ultimately is. Well, I went through an additional sleep study a week ago where I wore some monitors to make sure that my breathing was as it should be. I did this at home. And I just got an excellent report. He said the oral device is working as it should. As a matter of fact, and I don't know what this number means, but he said you're at a 2 on a level scale where anything under 5 is considered no sleep apnea right now. Well, I was at a 30 on that scale prior to my oral device. That is a result that I can believe in and one that I can tell you about. If you're worried about your snoring, if you're worried about your sleep apnea, if you're not getting a good night's sleep or not feeling energetic, it's time to call Dr. Brian McLaughlin, Dr. Stephen Poss, and the Sleep Apnea and TMJ Solution Center. Go to TennesseeSleep.com. That's TennesseeSleep.com for more info. Tell them Matt Murphy sent you. So for the most part, on the super text line, Weber, things have, gone as expected. Oh, what? Oh, my goodness, look at there. Oh, you shaved your beard.
Yeah.
On the YouTube chat, it's crazy over there. These people are brutal.
Not so nice.
Brutal. I'll share some of that with you coming up in just a little bit. Anyway, right now we want to speak with Reverend Glenn Cranfield, who is the president and CEO of the Nashville Rescue Mission and has been so since 2012. It is one of the honors of doing this job at SuperTalk 99.7 WTN that we are associated with the Nashville Rescue Mission. And as I said yesterday, they are not only doing Nashville's work, they are doing God's work. And so anytime we feel like a family member, and that's what we consider Nashville Rescue Mission to be, a part of the family, when we see something like this happen, we want to speak with them and make sure that we are doing everything that we can possibly do. So we welcome Glenn Cranfield to the show. Glenn, I hope you're doing well. How are you, sir?
I'm doing well. Thank you, Matt.
Yeah, well, it's good to talk to you. We need to talk more often than just our November visits when we sit down and have our radiothon. But I don't want to do so under these circumstances. But there's some bad news because of what happened. But then there's some incredible news about prognosis and all of these types of things. Just talk to us about your understanding of what happened the other day at the Nashville Rescue Mission.
Yeah, there was a minor incident in-house at the mission, and the suspect was asked to leave the men's campus by Cedric Wilson, who is a guest security guy, and the MNPD was called due to his resistance and his threats that he was making towards Cedric at the time. So the suspect left the premises and before the police arrived. However, they did find him and searched for him for any weapons because of his violent threats, and they didn't find any on him and released him with a warning from the police department to not return to the mission. So as Cedric was departing at the conclusion of his shift, the suspect came out of outside hiding place, intent on harming Cedric. He fired multiple shots, wounding Cedric on the sidewalk, 11 gunshot wounds.
Oh, my
and,
goodness.
Of course, the suspect fled the scene, and staff members immediately called 911, provided care and comfort to Cedric, who was taken via ambulance to the Vanderbilt Hospital. And so Cedric was in surgery for 11 hours for the for 3 hours for the 11 gunshot wounds. They stopped the bleeding, and miraculously, Matt, no organs were damaged from the shooting. 11 shots.
Oh, wow.
Hitting absolutely zero organs.
That's incredible.
Of course, it's a terrible situation, but we're thankful to God for protecting Cedric, and he's doing well. I just visited with him at the hospital, and he's all smiles. Cedric, when he smiles, he lights up a room, and he was in good spirits, and he's recovering in the trauma unit. And he said, typical of Cedric, he can't wait to see everyone back at the mission. They're his family. He loves them. He's very grateful for his mission family. We conducted a staff prayer service here for him, and he's loved and appreciated by everybody, and can't wait for him to be back again.
It's such a wonderful blessing that he's doing well and he's in good spirits, and just an incredible miracle of God that he was not killed, and much less wounded in a more severe way. I don't want to take away from the injuries that he suffered, Glenn,
right.
But what God's grace looking over him. So how can we help? My question, when I talked to Sam earlier today, and he was generous enough to contact you, and y'all agreed to come on the show. We want to help in some way. How can we help? I mean, obviously, we're going to get down on our knees and pray for a full recovery, clearly, and we're going to pray that none of these types of incidents happen. I know that they do on occasion. They rarely escalate to this level, but what can we do for Cedric and his family, Glenn?
Well, Matt, of course, as you said, prayer for protection and peace and recovery for Cedric is very important. We appreciate that. And it's still early in the process, and we're getting in touch with Cedric's family to figure out what kind of needs you have, how can we best minister to those needs, how can we best meet those needs. So the best I can tell you right now, Matt, is just stay tuned. We'll be happy to come back and report. And This is tangible meaningful ways in which you can help Cedric and his family. He has 3 kids. They're the 3 teenagers, and visit with his fiance today, and they're just overwhelmed with the support and the prayers of everybody involved in this. And so just stay tuned. We'll be happy to share that with you.
Well, and, you know, we talk about it during our Radiothon on an annual basis, and I try to remind people of what incredible God's work that you do at Nashville Rescue Mission, but it also comes with a certain amount of danger. Just sadly, there are those that are just hopeless and lost. And rarely does something like this escalate to what this escalated to. But, I mean, obviously, you guys at the Nashville Rescue Mission are always very careful. That's why we have security over there to make sure that you're protecting those that you are offering assistance to on a 24-hour basis.
Yeah, that's right. And I'm so grateful for you, Matt, and for the entire WTN Super Talk family for keeping us in your prayers. And you're right. I mean, we have metal detectors, we have pat-down procedures, and, designed to keep weapons out of the mission. And all that was successful. This was not in the mission.
Right.
This was a guy that left the mission and targeted the employee. And as sad as it is, we do our very best and work with the MMPD multiple times a day, consult with them to determine, are there other things that we need to be doing to help ensure increased security for all of our staff and all of our guests as well. And so you're right, it's a difficult time. Many times you feel a dangerous presence, but we also feel the very divine presence and hand of God as evident in Cedric right now.
Oh, that's right. That's well spoken. Glenn, obviously you have the relatively new women's and children's campus.
Yeah.
And I don't know, and while I have you on the phone, I just tell you, I don't know why it struck me when I was over there last fall. I was walking around and just being introduced to it, and I said, well, where are we in terms of capacity? And I was told, oh, we're already full. And I don't know why it struck me. I just started crying. Because I didn't want it to be full. I mean, we're so blessed to have you. We're so blessed that it's here. We're so blessed that this work is getting done. But, in a way, it just broke my heart because I want you to be empty. I tell you all the time, Glenn, I want y'all to shut down for a lack of business.
Absolutely.
But how are things going with the women's campus, the children's campus? How are things going now that the men's campus is kind of back to normal, if you will?
Yeah, well, you're right, Matt. I mean, we're seeing an incredible increase, particularly in the area of families. And families for us at the mission really comprise of single moms with children. And we're seeing just a major increase in families, moms with kids at the mission. And that's why we're at capacity at the Women's Center. And, we've had a downturn in the economy, and we had all kinds of issues going on. And so people are being plunged over into homelessness. I'm just grateful that there's a safe place for them to come and receive the care and help that they need. Unfortunately, we wish they didn't need that, but fortunately, we're there to help them as they do.
Well, thank you for everything that you guys do. I mean, obviously, I encourage people to go to Nashville Rescue Mission online and give as you can because it's a wonderful organization that does wonderful work. I'm sad that this happened to you, but I know that there are brighter days ahead. I know how prayerful y'all are over there, Glenn, and you know that we're praying for you over on our side of the street too. And just you keep in contact and let us know when and if we can do anything for Cedric Wilson because we're going to be here for him. I know y'all will be too.
I will do that. And I just, again, want to say thank you to the entire Super Talk WTN family for praying for us, for protection and for peace, and for standing in the gap for us. It's very helpful. And so thank you so much, guys.
God bless you, Glenn. Thank you so much for talking with us today. There's Glenn Cranfield. Reverend Glenn Cranfield is the president and CEO of the Nashville Rescue Mission and has been since 2012, and a great guy. And a great ambassador for hope in this community. And listen, nobody wishes for homelessness. We talk about the realities of homelessness and what to do about it. And all the time you hear me taking a hardline approach with regard to what the city needs to be doing, what we need to be doing as a society. But there is another side to this, to getting help to those who are desperately in need of it. I don't know what this Hunt fellow was on. I don't know what his backstory was, but obviously he was in mental and critical despair. And that sadly manifests itself in lawbreaking and lawlessness and no value for life whatsoever. He tried to kill Cedric Wilson. And because of that, and because of his inability to follow orders by police officers the following day, he is now dead. And that's, by any definition, sad. We can call it earthly justice, but it is certainly a spiritual tragedy. And I think we do well to recognize that. Glenn Cranfield puts this in the right perspective, that you pray and you put it in the hands of God. And we certainly pray for Cedric Wilson and for the entire family over at Nashville Rescue Mission. They do a great job. Thanks for being on with us. It is 10 until the top of the hour. We'll circle back and get back into the city of Nashville's response to the operations that were going on to get some of these criminal lawbreakers off the street at the hands of the Tennessee Highway Patrol and ICE. We'll do that next on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Hello, friends. It's Matt Murphy, and I want to spend a moment talking to you about your kitchen or your laundry space or your dressing area, like your closet area, or perhaps your bathrooms. All of these things involve cabinets. And if you're frustrated with your current cabinet situation, I want you to discover Cabinet Solutions in Hendersonville. These are great people. We've talked to Tony over these many, many weeks, and what an incredible facility they have up in Hendersonville. 4,500 square feet of showroom space, exploring a wide variety of kitchen cabinetry, bathroom cabinetry, and other high-end custom cabinets. They can find the price point that you're looking for, and they can put you in the right direction. And let me tell you something. They can put together 3D models, and you will know exactly what it will look like right there in your home before you buy. All you have to do is go to mycabinetsolution.com. That's the website, mycabinetsolution.com, and contact Tony and his team today. He'll get right back in contact with you, schedule an appointment, and you can tour the showroom space. mycabinetsolution.com. Your cabinet solution exists. It's in Hendersonville at Cabinet Solutions.
Department of Homeland Security takes a swipe at Nashville Mayor Freddie O'Connell. And we just got an update on the condition of the Nashville Rescue Mission employee who survived getting shot nearly a dozen times. Hear these stories and more coming up at 4 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Thank you, Mr. Ken Weaver. That's coming up in less than 5 minutes on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. My name is Matt Murphy. We're here till 7 o'clock tonight. Glad to have you along for the ride, whether you're on radio, on your app, or on Super Talk TV, YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, Twitch. I understand that you couldn't talk to the Reverend Cranfield because of the current situation, but maybe you should have him on some other time and ask him where they stand on illegal immigration, Matt. They were, I don't know that the times that I've spoken with the Nashville Rescue Mission, they really don't take any position necessarily on the issue of illegal immigration. They're trying to help hopeless and individuals who have lost their way, regardless of their immigration status. I don't believe that. And Ray, for you to call an you're saying it's disgusting. For you to call an organization that does the God's work that they do at the Nashville Rescue Mission above and beyond some of the issues that we deal with on this earth regarding immigration, well, I think your position is disgusting. So there, we're even. I support Nashville Rescue Mission above and beyond. I don't think they've taken any official position on the issue of illegal immigration outside of, they haven't fought against anybody. They haven't. You call me and you let me know about all of that, about them being on the news fighting against Governor Lee. Fighting against what? When were they on the news? Why don't you give me a call, Ray? 615-737-9986. Every opinion is welcome on this radio show. Some things I would hope that we could look at without putting it through the lens of politics. And helping hopeless people find God Almighty and eternal salvation would, I think, be one of those things. And if you don't have the ability to do that, I would encourage you to get back to church. How about that? How about that? I mean, I'm not trying to be a hard ass on the subject, but my goodness. I mean, you're not, I promise you this. When we get to the pearly gates, are they going to ask for your paperwork, Ray? They're not going to need to. They're not going to need to. I just, something, I don't ask anybody like Reverend Glenn Cranfield I don't try to draw him in to subjects that we talk about with regard to illegal immigration or anything else. That's not his job. Now, he might have a personal position on it, and I don't know that Nashville Rescue Mission has taken a position. I'm not afraid to have this conversation with you. I don't know that Nashville Rescue Mission has taken a position on it. I don't ask Nashville Rescue Mission to take a position on it. I can take a position on it. I can talk to you about it. I can talk to the people that matter, like Freddie O'Connell or local Metro leaders, the people that are making the rules, like Governor Bill Lee. Nashville Rescue Mission has a different purpose in mind, and they're trying to help a very awful situation. And you know what? You know what, Ray? If Nashville Rescue Mission didn't exist, the homeless people still would. Is that what you want? I mean, I don't understand what you want. What, you want the mission to get shut down or what? You want them to demand paperwork when people come into the mission, Ray? Tell me what you want, bud. Or are you just trying to crap on a good organization because that's what you do? You crap on things. How about a solution, pal? 615-737-9986. Talk to me. I'm here for you. It's 4 o'clock on Super Talk.
4 o'clock on the dot. I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories. Got the full forecast and traffic in 5 minutes. And right now in Nashville, Department of Homeland Security taking a swipe at Mayor Freddie O'Connell for his criticism of the ongoing illegal immigration enforcement operation. Assistant Department of Homeland Security Secretary Tricia McLaughlin stating this operation resulted in getting gang members, sex offenders, and other violent criminals off Nashville's streets. She goes on to say Nashville Mayor Freddie O'Connell stands by pro-illegal policies, claiming that the enforcement operations were done by people who do not share our values of safety. So here are the latest numbers. ICE says it has arrested 196 illegal immigrants since the weekend before last started that operation in Nashville. Of the 196 ICE arrests, 95 reportedly had prior criminal convictions and pending criminal charges, according to ICE, and 31 were individuals who were previously removed after reentering the U.S. illegally. And we're learning more about the Nashville Rescue Mission employee who is recovering from being shot nearly a dozen times on Sunday. The mission's president and CEO, Glenn Cranfield, telling WTN's Matt Murphy Show it's a miracle Cedric Wilson survived.
Cedric was in surgery for 11 hours for the 3 hours for the 11 gunshot wounds. They stopped the bleeding, and miraculously, Matt, no organs were damaged from the shooting. 11 shots.
Oh, wow.
Hitting absolutely zero organs.
Cranfield says the mission has met with Wilson's fiancée and 3 teenage sons to determine how to help them during his recovery. Wilson was shot by Tadarius Hunt, whom police shot and killed on Monday after police say Hunt fired at officers first. That's the latest news. Traffic and weather next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News. Antioch police reporting a crash blocking the right shoulder 24 westbound at Hickory Hollow Parkway. And then right shoulder blocked, let's see, that's going to be 65 southbound after the I-24 65 split on the North Loop. Traffic every 10 minutes every morning on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Super Talk 99.7 WTN. It is hour number 2 of the Matt Murphy Show. Hello, how are you? Glad to have you with us. Whether you're on the radio, you're listening on 99.7 FM or on an app of your choosing or perhaps on Talk TV, we appreciate every single one of you. Every single one, including Ray, who annoyed me right before the top of the hour. Ray, thank you for listening, buddy. Call me if you can. I appreciate your perspective on all of these things. If you weren't listening right before the top of the hour, I'll fill you in. I'll feed you baby birds. Don't you worry about it. You can also call in 615-737-9986, 615-737-9986. That is the way to opine on any issue we might be discussing on a day-to-day basis. You can also, for you shy ones out there, you can hit us up on the super text line. That's the same telephone number, 615-737-9986. So Ray has challenged me to a certain degree. I've begged him to call in. He says he can't, that he's working. But I want to share his challenge with you, and I want to try to not get annoyed, but calmly explain to you what I consider to be the difference. Because Ray has said, and I've not seen this, but Ray has said that Nashville Rescue Mission was outwardly blasting those who supported strengthening our immigration policy to provide for border security and to provide for a better ability for the Tennessee Highway Patrol and other agencies to find those that are in the country illegally and sending them home. And Ray has suggested that the Nashville Rescue Mission was, quote, blasting Governor Lee on this issue. Well, first and foremost, I have a difficult time believing that the Nashville Rescue Mission, whether it be Reverend Glenn Cranfield or anybody, would blast anyone. I blast people all the time. That's my nature. I do not believe that it is the nature of Reverend Glenn Cranfield to, quote, unquote, blast anyone. Now, that said, Ray wanted to know why I didn't ask him about his position on illegal immigration. Well, Ray, because we weren't talking about illegal immigration with the Nashville Rescue Mission's Glenn Cranfield. We were talking about a man who had been shot 11 times outside of their facility after leaving work. His name is Cedric Wilson. Thank you for asking about him, Ray. He's doing okay, and he's going to survive to live and work another day at the mission. So first and foremost, I did not ask Glenn Cranfield about illegal immigration because, frankly, the Nashville Rescue Mission doesn't have anything to do with the issue of illegal immigration, nor should they. And I suggest that without trying to cast aspersions, I said it on purpose, that thinking people can understand the difference. Let me ask the question this way. Do y'all go to church? Does your church ask for paperwork at the front door? No sinners in here. Only do-gooders in here. Does that make a lot of sense? Does it make it's an honest question. Does your church demand paperwork to make sure that the people that are attending church on Sunday morning are legal? It almost sounds silly to ask the question, doesn't it, Ray? But ask it, I did. Now, you say that they were against the governor supporting the Trump administration with legislation that he signed into law, and then you called it disgusting. And you said it's enough that it won't allow me to donate to them again because I can't support that. And then you went on to say that they were supporting illegal immigration. I do not believe that they were supporting illegal immigration. I do believe that they have a different mission in their minds. Now, I will blast Freddie O'Connell and I will blast the Metro Council for not supporting the laws that they took an oath to uphold. But I don't fault the church and I don't fault the mission for looking at what they do and looking at their mission differently, because theirs is not an earthly mission, ultimately. Although in the immediate term, they're providing people with food and a roof and a bed and hope. ultimately their mission is to provide some level of spiritual salvation. They're far more concerned with the afterlife as opposed to this life. And then Ray went on to call me a hypocrite. You're a hypocrite by treating Afton and Freddie O'Connell the way that you do for the same thing. No, I'm not. Freddie has power over the Metro Nashville Police Department and how they patrol the streets. Nashville Rescue Mission does not. The Nashville Rescue Mission views, and I don't want to speak for them because I don't speak for them, but I would think that they view what they do differently, and they're not asking for paperwork, any paperwork. The vast majority of the people, both legal and illegal, who walk through the doors of the Nashville Rescue Mission, they don't have a pot to pee in or a window to throw it out of, Ray, much less paperwork. Now, I don't know anything about their position on Governor Lee's sign. I don't know what bill you're talking about. I mean, was it last session? I suppose maybe you're talking about some of the legislation that Governor Bill Lee signed after Tennessee strengthened certain aspects of the law, giving the Tennessee Highway Patrol a better ability to patrol the streets with regard to legal or illegal status. I don't know. All I know is this. If you're a church-going person, Ray, let me know the next time you see the parishioners at your church ask for paperwork at the front door. And if they're not asking for paperwork at the front door, Ray, unless you're a hypocrite, then I guess you're not going to give in the donation plate either. Or maybe you don't go to church. I don't know. Bottom line is this. The role of those that we elect to act as government servants is to protect the rule of law and to protect, by extension, the people of the given community in which they serve. Nashville Rescue Mission has a different role. As a Christian-based charity, they are attempting to help all of those in need. They did not bring them here, but they will help them. They did not ask for the homeless situation, but they will help them. I'm always annoyed, and Ray, this is somewhat of a bias, and I appreciate you listening, and I appreciate the perspective, I do, despite my tone. But it annoys the hell out of me when a bunch of liberals get on television and tell me what Jesus would do and would not do with regard to what laws we're making and what laws we're not making. I saw it earlier this week. Well, what would Jesus do when it comes to the southern border? Well, one, we're not Jesus. Number two, Jesus had a different mission in mind when he came to earth. And it had nothing to do with the laws of man or this life. It had very much to do with the next life. And so to suggest that because Jesus did not see borders, that we should not see borders is ludicrous. It's absurd. But that doesn't mean that Jesus was wrong, does it? And it certainly doesn't mean that Nashville Rescue Mission is wrong. So I hope you look at it a different way, Ray. I hope that you can see it in your heart to understand that the Nashville Rescue Mission, they're just trying to help human beings. And I would note this too. These are human beings. I mean, I don't mean to condemn, my grandpa always said, watch out preaching to the choir because at some point you're going to start condemning the choir to hell and next Sunday you're not going to have a choir, right? So I'm not here to preach to the choir necessarily, but I would note, Ray, that at some point we lose our sense of humanity. And when you begin losing, I have a very strong belief in the rule of law. I have a very strong belief about border security. I have a very strong belief about what needs to be done with illegal aliens. But be careful that those strong beliefs don't lead you into an arena where you forget your humanity. You're not talking about cows, dude. You're not talking about groundhogs in your backyard. You're talking about human beings. These are human beings, right? And while I take a hardline approach on the issue of immigration, when you start forgetting that these are human beings with souls, maybe you start losing a little bit of your humanity. I mean, I've said all the time, right? But for the most part, you know, obviously we don't know who the criminal elements are and who they aren't. But for the most part, you and me, Ray, what would we do if we were born in Guatemala or Mexico City or Venezuela or Colombia? Well, you're just going to say, well, you know, I guess life's lottery got me, and I'm just going to be piss poor for the rest of my life, and I'm never going to be able to make anything for the rest of my life? Or would you aspire to a better life for you and your family? For the most part, I don't fault those that are in other countries that are coming to this country to make a better life for themselves. And I am well on record as saying, there but for the grace of God go I. If I came to the southern border and I had an opportunity to skip the border, and for me, from my perspective, from where I'm coming from, all I'm trying to do is make a better life for myself, and I look at it as a victimless crime, and I'm just coming here to do work in America, you bet your sweet bippy. And you are fooling yourself if you say you wouldn't. Let's not lose our humanity here. I can take a hard line with these folks, but at the same time, wish them blessings from God and wish them well. Now, the criminal element, those that are attacking our young people, those that are the murder, that's a different conversation entirely to what we're talking about. Be a human being. Being American first, being America first, it doesn't mean that you're not a human being and you can't have sympathy for those in other countries. And I'm trying to get off my soapbox, but it is right now very much stuck in my craw, as my grandma used to say. Ken is next in Nashville. Hey, Ken, glad you called. How are you, sir?
I'm doing fine, and thank you very much for taking my call.
Of course, Ken.
Just briefly, I'm a nobody, but I do have an opinion which just does not mean very much. But first of all, let me say that under Title 18, which is the law, that's the criminal law of the U.S. Code, it addresses illegal aliens, and they're not really immigrants; they're aliens. There's a way of becoming an immigrant, and you come in this country legally. I'm 100% for. And I do appreciate, what you're saying about we are human beings because we are. And for the grace of God, there go I. I believe that 100%. But I think that is there any way that we can get the mayor of the city to obey the Title 18 as far as these illegal aliens are concerned? I don't know if can you file a complaint against him? I don't know. But his stance, I think, is in violation of Title 18. Also in Title 18 under Section 241 and 242, you cannot act under color of law to deprive a person of their constitutional rights. And I have a constitutional right that the lawmakers should follow the laws that we have in force. Does that make sense to you at all? I mean,
well, the idea, Ken, that they're picking and choosing the laws that they decide to enforce and the laws that they decide to ignore. No, yep. It does not make sense to me at all.
No, it doesn't make sense at all to me either. I mean, I won't. There are laws I don't like, but I still go by those laws because I live in this country, and we suppose we are a republic and a nation of law and order. In other words, the law is to be equally applied to all people here in this country. If you go by that law and if you go by those rules, then a person that's here illegally is in violation of that law. And if you help that person violate that law, aren't you an accomplice?
If you aid and abet, according to, knowingly, the key is knowingly, right?
Sure.
Right. So if you are if you're working in a legal capacity, like as a law enforcement officer, then
or a mayor.
Or a mayor, for that matter, or part of the Metro Council, then yes, I think that most certainly applies to you. If you're in a different arena and you have a different if you're a charitable organization, then doesn't
apply.
It's a different deal. But yeah, certainly.
I agree with that.
Yeah, certainly. If you are a member of the Metro Council and you are, did you see the video with Afton Ben where she said she was intentionally trying to stall ICE?
Yeah,
that's aiding and abetting. There's no question that's aiding.
That's what I think Freddie's doing. Does he not know what Title 18 is, the criminal law?
Yeah, well,
U.S. criminal law.
He probably does. He's probably choosing to ignore it. But no, Freddie came out, and I'm going to play the clip here in a minute. Freddie came out and said that, all of these families being disrupted is just so awful and it's just so horrible. I agree with that. It is awful and terrible. Well, for some of them, but not for most of them, because most of these people were bad people that needed to be deported immediately and never should have gotten into this country. And some of whom, look, you can't apply that blanket type of statement to everyone, but I do agree that there needs to be further examination into Freddie O'Connell as to whether or not.
What I think is awful is that these people are in the country in the first place because they shouldn't be here.
Well, that's right.
If Title 18 was enforced like it's supposed to be, like the mayor of the city is supposed to do, then what Title 18 says that the minimum is 6 months in jail if you're illegally. It's up to 1 year if you're part of a conspiracy. So that's what the law says. Now, if we're a nation of law, we ought to go by that law. And an official of the government in violation of that law, how come they're not arrested?
I would have to reread 18 to. I do not believe that it requires that anyone discovered here illegally spend time in jail, but I would have to reread it. Ken, I'll trust you on it right now.
Please do that.
I will. I will.
All right. Thank you for taking my call.
Hey, no problem. You do too, Ken. Thank you for the call. Sharon and Susan and Joseph, we'll get to you. Several of you on the way in. It's 4:23 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Hello, friends. Matt Murphy here. Tennessee Men's Clinic has two locations right here in Nashville, Tennessee. One's in Midtown. That's the OG. Since 2014, they've been serving men just like you, helping men get back right with their lifestyles, right with your energy levels, right with your testosterone levels. There, I said it. Your T level can affect bedroom activity. Men, if you've noticed problems in the bedroom, I'm not trying to go there, but let's just talk about it where the goats can graze on it. If you've noticed these issues, you need to deal with this and you need to move on from it. And you can do that at Tennessee Men's Clinic. The second location opened about a year and a half, maybe 2 years ago in Cool Springs. And since that time, they've been serving folks south of the city. But for all of you, a telephone call to schedule this appointment, guys, you need to do this for yourself. If you've noticed a decrease in desire or ability, it's time to get it taken care of with the Tennessee Men's Clinic and put it behind us. Let's get it done. Call 615-208-9090. 615-208-9090 or go to TennesseeMen'sClinic.com. That's TennesseeMen'sClinic.com.
Chicago Black Sox are also...
Department of Homeland Security calling out Mayor Freddie O'Connell, and it's unclear what Nissan's job cuts and plant closings announced today is going to mean for Tennessee. Another gun found at school in Nashville. These stories and more at 4:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
There he is. There's Ken Weaver back in the newsroom. Matt Murphy in studio. And in between us, through several panes of glass, is Chris Weber, controlling the experience. Hey, guys, if I had rando squash growing in a corner of my yard where I let wildflowers grow,
Yeah.
would y'all eat them?
Yep.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
That's free squash, baby.
Absolutely.
Because a lot of these veggies have been dumped for the groundhogs. I say the groundhogs plural because we got two of them. For the love. I mean, we're just we got groundhogs, we got cats.
You got two of them. You're getting ready to have a bunch of them.
Yes,
I
you
bet.
are.
Well, I mean, and apparently that's a desirable thing in my household that we have groundhog babies.
No?
I mean, I think there's frankly a desire to have like groundhog babies inside, like, ooh, groundhog baby.
That's got to be coming from Sweet Eric.
That ain't from Matt Murphy.
Sweet.
I mean, unless we're putting them on the grill, you know.
Ooh.
No.
Delicious.
Grilled groundhog. That's a different deal altogether.
How much squash you got growing back there?
I am almost. I do not have a squash bud yet, but I am. I know squash.
Yes,
I've
sir.
grown squash, and it is a squash plant.
Got some flowers?
There's some little flowers
Yeah,
on it, which I eventually will become squash.
That's right.
What about okra?
We don't have any okra. I had something that I thought was cabbage, but then I did one of those. You can do that app that identifies plants by the leaves, and it's apparently an herbal something or another. But we did this area where we just cast a bunch of wildflower seeds, and then she throws all of the veggies out there and has done that, and then now they grow. And so I think I got squash, and I might have a tomato.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
So all natural garden, all natural vegetable garden.
Organic.
Well, I mean, I suppose. I mean, grown with pure organic groundhog poop.
It's good stuff.
I just got to get to them before the groundhogs do.
Yeah, that's the trouble.
It's going to be tricky.
Yeah, it is tricky. Anyway, any tips are welcome. We'll get back to your calls momentarily on illegal aliens and our not losing our sense of humanity when it comes to this subject. And I think it's an important component of all of this. It is 4:30 on Super Talk.
.30 on the dot. I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories. Got the full forecast and traffic in 5 minutes. The Department of Homeland Security is calling out Mayor Freddie O'Connell, accusing him of using Nashville taxpayer money to protect illegal immigrants. ICE claiming 196 people have been arrested during ICE operations last week. Of those, 95, they say, had prior criminal convictions and pending criminal charges, some for sexual assault, gang affiliations, drugs, and domestic assault. Nissan says it plans to cut 20,000 jobs and shut down 7 manufacturing plants globally, but it's unclear what it's going to mean for Tennessee. Channel 4 says it asked Nissan about plants in Tennessee, and the response was, quote, "Our manufacturing operations in Tennessee and Mississippi are strategically important to the company's future in this crucial market." Channel 4 says it pressed on whether jobs in Tennessee would be impacted. And a Nissan USA spokesperson said, quote, "This is all I can share at this time." Right now in Nashville, another gun at school. Police crediting the new Evolve weapons detection system being installed in all high schools for hitting on a 17-year-old Maplewood high school student's backpack this morning. A loaded pistol found in it. The student charged in juvenile court with bringing a weapon into school property and unlawful gun possession. This is the second time this new technology has hit on a gun at school in Nashville in the past 2 weeks. The first one last week at Antioch High School. President Trump is in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia, as part of a three-nation trip to the Middle East, where he announced Saudi Arabia's commitment to invest in the U.S.
The White House released details of what is included in the $600 billion, and it is significant when you look at what this is in terms of defense. $142 billion, the White House says, is the largest defense sales agreement, providing the Saudis with American equipment. That is a big deal. The White House, of course, is touting that as a big chunk of that $600 billion. There's also about $20 billion in investment in a Saudi company in the United States in AI infrastructure and energy infrastructure. There's healthcare investment that's going to total several $billion, and other companies that are also doing energy investment.
As Karen Travers in Riyadh with the latest. And that is the latest news. Traffic and weather next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News. Airport police reporting a crash on the right shoulder eastbound 40 there after Donaldson Pike. On the North Loop, police reporting a crash on the right shoulder 65 southbound after the I-24-65 split. And in Hermitage, an accident reported by police, Old Hickory Boulevard, just south of Andrew Jackson Way. Also in Antioch, police say there's a crash on Bell Road right there at I-24. And in Jolton, got a crash. Left and right shoulders blocked. This is going to be 24 westbound before New Hope Road. And on the South Loop downtown, police reporting a crash on the right shoulder. 40 westbound after 2nd Avenue. And in Bellevue, got a crash reported by police. 40 westbound right before Bellevue, Highway 70 South, exit 196. Traffic every 10 minutes every morning on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Friends, I want to tell you about Stoltzco and the difference between a Stoltzco pole barn and one of these prefab deals. There really is no comparison, right? I mean, if you're thinking about putting a building, perhaps it's a storage unit or something to use as a quote-unquote she shed or a man space. If you're thinking about this, I encourage you first and foremost to contact Stoltzco. If you're looking for a future home like a barn dominium or a mother-in-law suite or a place to retire in, or you've got property and you want to increase the property value, Stoltzco. They do barn dominiums, of course. They do pole barns, obviously. Post-frame buildings of all sorts and sizes. Garages, equestrian spaces, event spaces. No facility, no building too large or small for Stoltzco. Friends, they do high-quality customized structures at a reasonable price. Go to stoltzco.com and see some of the incredible buildings that they've done over the years in Middle Tennessee. That's STOLTZCO.com. And when you call them, tell them Matt Murphy sent you to the one and only Stoltzco. Here's the number, 615-622-5992. 622-5992 for our friends at Stoltzco. Hello, friends. Matt Murphy and the Matt Murphy Show continues. 4:39. I promised to get to calls, and I'm doing that post haste. I do need to run through some of these folks, though. So on the issue of Freddie O'Connell and his suggestion that, we feel for all of these folks, more information coming down from the Department of Homeland Security regarding the 196 individuals arrested and how many of those had criminal histories and how many of those were illegal aliens. Just to run down just a couple of them, I'll get your calls. Yassim Al-Rash, 60, illegal alien from Iraq. His criminal history includes convictions for rape, larceny, and false imprisonment. He also has an arrest for failing to register as a sex offender. He was arrested by ICE last week. Is Freddie O'Connell, is his heart hurting for him? Mr. Al-Rash? Imar Antonio Panado Membrino is a 34-year-old illegal alien from El Salvador. His criminal history includes a conviction for possession with intent to manufacture, deliver, and sell cocaine. Is Mayor Freddie O'Connell's heart hurting for him and his family? Franklin Oswaldo Velasquez, a 33-year-old illegal alien from El Salvador affiliated with MS-13. He is the subject of an active red notice in El Salvador for aggravated murder. Is Mayor Freddie O'Connell's heart hurting for his family? Richard Saint Baptiste, a 36-year-old illegal alien from Haiti. His criminal history includes conviction for possession of methamphetamine with intent to distribute. Is Mayor O'Connell hurting for him and his family today because of the awful actions by Tennessee Highway Patrol and ICE? Carlos Ronaldo Alvarado Rodriguez, a 39-year-old illegal alien from Guatemala. His criminal history includes convictions for aggravated assault. The operation resulted in getting gang members off the streets, sex offenders off the streets, violent criminals off the streets, drug abusers and drug sellers off the streets. Yet Freddie O'Connell says his heart's hurt because of the actions. And our communities, he said, Freddie O'Connell stood in front of a microphone and said, our communities are less safe today. Less safe today. Sharon is next in Fayetteville. Thank you for your call, Sharon. I'm glad you waited.
I'll always wait for you.
You're sweet.
Thank you. So are you. I'm not a Bible thumper. But I read in the Bible, and I'm sure some of your listeners knows where it is. Christ was talking about discernment. And he said if you make a decision that helps a group of people, but it hurts a group of people, it's not a good decision. Everybody has to be pleased. Now, if you add to it, give Caesar what is Caesar's, and give to God what is God's. We voted for our Caesar, the majority, to do exactly what he's doing. And this person, Trump, of course, is all in for legal migration. So he's not going against God. He's for the people and doing it the right way. Come in legally. We'll accept you if you're not a criminal. So, depending what side of the fence you're on, I think I make a good point about our Caesar and discernment. But it's not a good decision when you hurt two sides of the fence. That's all.
Thank you, Sharon, for the telephone call, and thank you for the wise words. Susan is next. Susan, thank you for the call.
Hey, this is, I was just asking a question about, you were talking, you always say stuff about how the hospitals get full with the illegal immigrants, and then, people have to wait for their children to be seen hours and hours later.
Susan. Susan?
Yeah, well, let me finish.
Am I on speaker? Because I can barely hear
Oh,
you.
yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we can't do speaker because it makes it really difficult for people to hear. So is it possible to not be on speaker?
Yes. Okay, can you hear me?
Oh, that's much, much better. I'm sorry. I just the echo it makes it hard for me to hear. Okay, go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, I just have a question because you talk about how our ERs are full of illegal immigrants and how our children are having to wait to be seen.
When did I say that?
Let me finish.
I haven't said that.
But,
you're saying I was talking about that. I haven't said that.
Okay. But then our shelters are getting full, and then those that are from here can't get into our shelters because they're getting full. But you don't want, and I understand the whole Christian part of what the shelters do, and I totally agree with that. But I don't see too much of a difference if we're having to wait one way or the other because they're getting full of illegal immigrants. And that's all I wanted to say. I'd like for you to speak to that.
Susan, I wish that you would hang on the line so that we could have a conversation. I don't know what you mean when you say that I have said that the ERs are full. I've not said that. So I don't know. Maybe you've heard that elsewhere, and we could have a conversation about that, about our emergency room services and whether or not the emergency room is seeing a lot of illegal alien patients. But I've not seen where there is I've not talked about it. So if you have any evidence that is the case, I would love to see that. And I don't doubt that it's true. If your suggestion is that the Nashville Rescue Mission, so if you've got drug abusers and other people who are in crisis coming to the Nashville Rescue Mission, and the Nashville Rescue Mission is regularly full, if the question is whether or not they should vet individuals that come in based on legal status, I would disagree with that. I don't think that's their mission, and I don't think they would do that. I mean, the law is going to look at these things differently than a charitable organization whose mission is to get immediate help to individuals who are in immediate crisis. As far as our ERs are concerned, I've not necessarily seen evidence that the ERs are, quote, full, but I'll look into that. But I didn't say that, so I can't speak to the comparison. But thank you for the call, Susan, and I'm glad you made it. And call back. And I always love having a dialogue. And I promise, I know some longtime listeners will laugh when I say this, but I try not to interrupt. But, I mean, my interruption there for you, Susan, I was trying not to do so, but the premise of your question was based on something that I didn't say. Sarge is next. Hey, Sarge.
How you doing, Mr. Matt?
I'm great, Sarge. Thank you for calling.
Hey, I work in Murfreesboro. I live here in Trousdale County, and I was getting in my vehicle at about 3:30 when you were talking about your clean-shaven face, and now that I just pulled in and turned on the YouTube, I got to tell you something, young man. You are a handsome young man. I heard you make the jokes about your chin and your double chin. Let me tell you something. When I shave my face every May, at least you don't get compared to having more chins than Chinatown.
No, I think, and someone may correct me, I think I've just got the two. This one and this one.
Well, and I'll also say this, at least your face will not cure constipation. Mine does it every time.
Well, Sarge, you're a good man. The check's in the mail, buddy.
Hey, we listen to you all the time,
Thank
Mr.
you,
Matt, and you have yourself a good one now.
Yeah, God bless you, sir. I appreciate you. There's Sarge checking in, saying kind words about my face. Isn't that nice?
Did he say when he shaves every May?
That's what he said.
That's the only time he shaves, just once a year?
He said when he shaves every May, they say that he has more chins than a Chinese phone book, I think was the end of that joke. Well, hey, look, I mean, when's the last time Weaver shaved his chin?
It's been a long time, boys.
It's been a lot of Mays, I think.
Long time.
A lot of Mays. Didn't you tell me you shaved it one time and the wife said to grow it back?
It was 1993. And I came out of the bathroom and I had to go right back in.
Glue it back on.
You gotta fish it out of the sink.
Yeah. Tried to patchwork it back on. Otherwise, I wasn't going to get any hugs or kisses.
Oh no, you can't. Wow, we can't go without those hugs or kisses.
Oh, she gave in anyway.
Just tell her to close her eyes and pretend it's still there. Lisa is next. Hey, Lisa, thank you for calling. How are you?
Hey, I'm good. How are you doing?
I'm great, Lisa. Thank you.
The only thing I wanted to say was that I have a niece that is married to a Mexican Guatemala man, and he's been here 15 years. Thank you for calling. How are you?
Hey, you gotta turn that radio down, Lisa.
He's been here 15. I know it. I've got the speaker on the car phone. Is it bothering you?
Well, man, it's going to bother you. You've got to turn it. We got a delay, and if you don't turn that radio down, it's going to confuse you. I promise you.
I got it down.
Okay. All right. There we go. Okay.
Yeah. But he's been here 15 years, and I love him to death. He is a good man.
Mm-hmm.
They have a son together, and they just had 2 daughters that they had different a year or 2 apart, and they passed away as infants due to complications. And they're buried here in our home cemetery.
Sorry to hear that.
He goes to church. They have a good business together. They work, and he is with a lawyer for 15 years. He's been here. He's been with a lawyer and done paperwork and waiting on the lawyer and paid money to this lawyer to get his, license, Social Security, and citizenship. And he's already had to go to another lawyer.
Well, what's the status now?
Because the first lawyer just wasn't doing anything.
Well, you can't trust those lawyers.
Yeah. I mean, this is supposed to be one of the lawyers, that you go to try to get your legalized and get here. And I'm telling you, it's just been so difficult. But I wouldn't take nothing for him.
Well, I
I
mean,
I
look,
just feel like he's got paperwork started, and it's just not right. And for them to take everyone that's been here for years that's not done anything.
Well, the longest journey, and look, if he's been here for 15 years and he has not had satisfaction in that length of time, I mean, it sounds like he needs a better lawyer.
Yeah, he did. He has switched lawyers, and it's got him this far to where he has got one more year, I believe, and then he will be able to get his license and Social Security.
Well, I mean,
but he don't have legalization though yet.
Okay.
And I don't know how that happens.
And this is just a person that you know and that you support.
Yes, I do support him. He's married to my niece, and he's a good man.
Well, if he's married to your niece, is your niece legal?
Yes.
Well, that should offer him a certain level of legal protection, I would think, Lisa.
Yeah, I don't know, but I know he's not legal here.
Well, I think that you can work through the system. I'm not suggesting you do this necessarily, but I think you can work through the system based on that marriage.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
Get him to ask the lawyer about all that. Let me know how it goes, Lisa. I got to scoot. I got to get along to some commercials. Thank you for the call. Jeremiah and Joseph will be coming up in just a moment. We'll continue to break down what ICE says about the reaction of Mayor Freddie O'Connell to their operations. It is 53 after the hour on Super Talk. Friends, I want to talk to you for a moment about my friend Shane Ring at Cover Nash. He is located right here in Middle Tennessee and is a local expert when it comes to not only opting into health plans, but which health plans are best for you. There's a big difference between someone like Shane and what he does at Cover Nash and someone who works for one particular insurance company. And here's the central difference. When these guys are working for one insurance company, the insurance company is the customer, right? And they're shopping that company to you. You're the customer with Shane Ring, and he's going to shop all insurance companies on the market today and find what is right for you. That is the central difference between Shane and some of these fly-by-night guys. Plus, I mean, these call center agents, they will not stop, and they're trying to shop you to a particular plan or a program that may not be right for you, and that is bad news. Let's get with Shane. I've sat down in his office in Brentwood. I've watched him work, and I've learned so much about the insurance industry and how they do their work, and you will learn as well. And you'll find a right plan for you that costs you less money than your current plan. 615-465-0023, 465-0023, or coverdash.com. That's coverdash.com.
We'll tell you what we've learned about the Nashville Rescue Mission employee ambushed in the parking lot. And Nashville Mayor Freddie O'Connell getting called out by the Department of Homeland Security. Nissan says it plans to cut 20,000 jobs and shut down 7 manufacturing plants globally. These stories and more at 5 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
In just a moment, we'll get those headlines. Right now, let's get to Jeremiah. I think we can get to Jeremiah. We've got just enough time to do so. Hey, Jeremiah, how are you?
I'm doing well. Thank you for taking my call. I wanted to say just a couple quick things. My parents immigrated here in 1956 during the Hungarian Revolution when the Russians were taking over, just like what they're doing in Ukraine right now. And many thousands of Hungarians were flown over here by virtue of Richard Nixon, who was vice president at the time, and Martin Luther King, who sent planes to Austria to get those Hungarians that were trying to flee that communist takeover.
Hey, Jeremiah.
And all of them.
Jeremiah, just hold on just a second. I threw you on hold there, Jeremiah, because I didn't want to be rude, but I was wrong. It's 5 o'clock, and I want to get to the point that you're making, and I looked at the clock wrong. That's on me. Here comes Ken Weaver in the news.
5 o'clock on the dot. I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories. Got the full forecast and traffic in 5 minutes. And we're learning more about the Nashville Rescue Mission employee who was shot Sunday afternoon in the parking lot after his shift. President and CEO Glenn Cranfield telling WTN's Matt Murphy Show they're working on ways the community might be able to help Cedric Wilson in this difficult time.
This is tangible, meaningful ways in which you can help Cedric and his family. He has 3 kids. They're the 3 teenagers, and visit with his fiance today, and they're just overwhelmed with the support and the prayers of everybody involved in this. And so just stay tuned. We'll be happy to share that with you.
Cedric Wilson was in surgery for 3 hours for 11 gunshot wounds. Miraculously, none of those bullets hit any of his organs. Nashville Mayor Freddie O'Connell getting called out by the Department of Homeland Security for his criticism of the ongoing joint illegal immigration enforcement operation between ICE and the Tennessee Highway Patrol in Nashville. Assistant Secretary Tricia McLaughlin stated this operation resulted in getting gang members, sex offenders, and other violent criminals off Nashville's streets. Nashville Mayor Freddie O'Connell stands by pro-illegal policies, claiming that the enforcement operations were done by people who do not share our values of safety. So here are the latest numbers. ICE says it has arrested 196 illegal immigrants since that operation started weekend before last. 95 of those 196 arrests ICE claims had prior criminal convictions and pending criminal charges, and 31 were individuals they say were previously removed after re-entering the U.S. illegally. Nissan says it plans to cut 20,000 jobs and shut down 7 manufacturing plants, but it is unclear what that might mean for its Tennessee operations. Channel 4 says it was told by a Nissan spokesperson the plants in Tennessee and Mississippi are strategically important to the company's future in this crucial market. And when pressed on whether jobs would be cut in Tennessee, the response was, "This is all I can share at this time." Right now in Nashville, the new weapons detection system being installed since the deadly Antioch High School shooting seems to be working. Metro Police say they arrested a 17-year-old Maplewood High School senior today after a loaded semi-automatic pistol was discovered inside his backpack. It follows the arrest of a student last week at Antioch High School. And President Trump on his first trip overseas of the second term telling the Saudi Arabia Investment Forum the time has come for commerce instead of chaos in the Middle East.
Before our eyes, a new generation of leaders is transcending the ancient conflicts of tired divisions of the past and forging a future where the Middle East is defined by commerce, not chaos, where it exports technology, not terrorism, and where people of different nations, religions, and creeds are building cities together, not bombing each other out of existence.
Trump shaking hands, then signing a deal with Saudi Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman, pledging $600 billion investment in U.S., strengthening energy and defense. That's the latest news. Traffic and weather next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News. Watkins Park got a stalled vehicle blocking the center lane, 40 westbound past Charlotte Avenue. A crash blocking the left 2 lanes, 24 eastbound before Bell Road. Then in Smyrna, we got a crash blocking the right lane. Actually, 2 separate accidents here blocking the right lane, 24 eastbound approaching Almaville Road. And in Hermitage, a crash. Old Hickory Boulevard, just south of Andrew Jackson Way. In Antioch, got a crash on Bell Road, but it's right there at I-24. Sylvan Park, a crash, 40 westbound past White Bridge Pike, Bradley Parkway West, exit 204. In Murfreesboro, a box reported in the right lane, 840 eastbound before Jefferson Pike. And then in Clarksville, we got debris in the left lane. TDOT says it's 24 eastbound before MLK Parkway. And back here in Nashville on the North Loop, a crash on the right shoulder, 65 southbound, right after the I-24-65 split. Traffic every 10 minutes every morning on Super Talk, 99.7 WTN.
It is Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Matt Murphy and you for another 2 hours or so. Thank you for being out there. The 5 o'clock hour is here. For many of you, you are off work. Congratulations. Hey, it's did you know that it's Chris Webber, Ken? It's Chris Webber's Friday Eve.
Oh, really?
That's right.
That's right.
Brother Chris taking off early this week, is he?
Oh, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah. Can we say why?
Yeah, sure.
Congratulations to the Webbers youngster. Graduation is this week. How about that?
All right.
Thursday night.
Yes, sir.
There you go.
Yeah.
How are we? What's the big gift? Can we say?
Cash, of course. You know. He wants cash.
Yeah, I was given an alert. I cannot go, but I was given an alert by my brother that my nephew is graduating next week in Columbus, Georgia, and he is. How about this? My nephew was in the junior ROTC and wanted to go into the military. And I'm not making this up, y'all. Y'all will think it's a story. I'm not telling a story. During the Biden administration, this 15-year-old man was like, I don't think I want to go into the military anymore. I mean, that's what he said. And Brian said, look, it's up to you. We can do military. You can do college. You can do trade. I mean, he's kind of not a college guy. And that's fine. And so he was thinking about trade school, thinking about welding school, thinking about something else. And since Trump got reelected, we are back on track, baby, and military bound.
Nice.
After graduation. So good for him. And I was alerted to this fact. And I said, well, Brian, I can't go. I got a thing down in Tullahoma or Winchester, I guess it is, next week. And I can't go. And I don't think I can be there. And he said, well, that's okay. Just send cash.
That'll make it all better.
Okay.
Well, I'll tell you what, your nephew's going to learn a trade in the military.
There's no question about that.
And you won't even have to leave home for basic training.
But I mean, truth from the mouth of that's true. Truth from the mouth of babes, though, because I mean, when he was 12, 13, he was all about the United States military, and then he got really quiet about it. And like 2 years ago, he said, "No, I don't think I want to do that anymore." And Brian said, and I asked Brian, I said, "Did you?" And he said, I didn't talk to him about it. I mean, we talk, he said, but I'm not dumping Biden and, whatever, woke military. I'm not cramming his head full of that stuff. He's picking it up on his own. Mm-hmm. And since Trump and since a reinvigoration of the United States military, and by the way, the media is not reporting on this, but Secretary of Defense Pete Hegseth, they are talking about the upsurge in military enrollment in America today. So nice. Yeah. That's awesome. What, y'all going out of town doing anything special?
Nope. Staying in town.
Good for you. Yeah. Oh, you probably got a bunch of family coming into town.
Well, that's what we're looking for.
Well,
it's fun. They could have just sent a check.
Y'all could save a lot of money I mean, I'm sure he'd love to see you there, but I'm sure he wants that cash. Anyway.
We know gas prices are coming down, but
still a long way.
Yeah, Brian said he doesn't know if Alex is actually going to survive getting to the United States military because after graduation, he and his older sister and apparently some others are taking a quote-unquote road trip across the country.
Ooh.
Y'all remember those? Y'all ever take one of those?
Mm-hmm.
Better tell him stay away from them pretty girls.
Oh, man.
That could derail the military career right there.
Wow, that road trip, yeah. Stay away from pretty girls. Uncle Ken says stay away from pretty girls. Got it. All right, if you're watching on TV, you saw that I've been called a lot of things. My favorites are Jonathan Winters and Babe Ruth. So I've been called Jonathan Winters and Babe Ruth over the course of the day because I shaved. 615-737-9986 if you'd like to be a part of the show. We gave you an update on the Nashville Rescue Mission's Cedric Wilson, and we'll continue to update you on that story. Thankfully, as Ken has been reporting, he seems to be on the mend. Not A-OK, obviously. 11 gunshot wounds, none of them hitting vital organs.
That's pure God right there.
An absolute godly miracle that he was able to survive that. Because this guy was lying in wait, ambushed him as he came out. You know that there was not a lot of distance between the assailant and Cedric Wilson.
Right.
Oh, man.
11 times.
And as he was in critical care, gave police a description of the assailant.
Yes.
Wow. That's God's hand right there. God's hand. A lot of conversation in the aftermath of our talk with Glenn Cranfield about the mission of Nashville Rescue Mission and the subject of illegal aliens and illegal immigration. 5637 writes in and says, good grief. The entirety of the situation hinges, and this is in reference to Ray's comment that he doesn't give to the Nashville Rescue Mission anymore because they disagreed with Governor Bill Lee signing an immigration bill, which I did not see that, but I would love to see what they had to say about it. The entirety of the situation hinges on whether the mission does or did not oppose Governor Lee and other positions on illegal immigration. Quit ranting, quit bleeping, and find that out one way or the other on that fact first before going further. And all of that's in caps. And I said, are you yelling at me? My position is it does not matter. It is for emphasis, not yelling, although you are yelling on the air. This is not, I'm not yelling. I just talk like this. What does that not matter? What is it that does not matter? The mission does great work. All churches do great work. But if they are taking a position as an organization against enforcing the law, then I know I could no longer support financially. To my knowledge, the mission has not taken any position on the support of the law. Their position is they do not require, and I don't want to say that because I don't want to speak for the mission, but it is my understanding that they do not require documentation to enter their facility. Now, maybe I'm wrong, and if I am, I will certainly stand corrected, but they have no authority to go against the nature of the law. They merely do not require, my understanding, documentation, legal or otherwise, regarding an individual's identification upon entry to their facility. Much like the church does not require documentation before you can attend a service. And I do not fault the Nashville Rescue Mission for thinking differently, just as I don't fault other individuals or organizations for perhaps thinking differently. I will present my thought process on all of this, and I hold those lawmakers who are duty-bound and these charitable organizations, I hold them to a different standard because they are different organizations with a different mission and purpose. In the meantime, some good news. A little too late for Shoeless Joe Jackson. A lot too late for Shoeless Joe Jackson. A little too late for Pete Rose, as neither of them will watch as they obviously enter the Baseball Hall of Fame. Surely they will get into the Baseball Hall of Fame now that they have been disbanded from. Is that a preferred term? I don't think that's a preferred term.
Unbanned? No, that doesn't sound right.
Disband? It doesn't sound right either.
Since their lifelong ban has been lifted.
So that's why this man does the news. He has a tongue to be desired.
Well,
I tell you, that is.
It just happened to pop up on my phone.
There you go. So, Pete Rose, Pete Rose, he bet on baseball. No, he never bet against the Reds. He suffered long enough, and I only wish that he had seen the ban lifted prior to his death. And
unbanned is a word, by the way.
There you go, Brother Murphy.
What about no, hold on, Brother Chris. What about disband?
It is not a word.
Oh, way to go, Brother Chris.
Boo, Brother Ken. I don't know why. Thank you, Chris.
You're welcome.
Because you highlighted the fact that unbanned was a word, but you just kind of moved on from the disband.
Yeah,
you got my back. I appreciate that.
Well,
so
I was just
unbanned.
highlighting my victory. Actually, it's really all I was doing.
Yeah, and in doing so and omitting the other, everybody knew. Everybody. One way or the other, so Rose and Shoeless Joe, my favorite story about Shoeless Joe Jackson was years after he had finished playing baseball and left baseball in disgrace. By the way, there is a strong argument to be made that Shoeless Joe Jackson did not. He took money, but he did not throw. There was a suggestion that he took money. He says that they told him he was getting money for something else. There's a strong suggestion that he didn't throw any baseball. I think he hit over 300 in that World Series.
Wow.
And but still, others did intentionally throw the World Series, and so he was caught up in all of that. Shoeless Joe Jackson, years later, was running a liquor store in South Carolina, and as the story goes, Ty Cobb, widely considered to be one of the greatest baseball players of all time, and in the first class of the Baseball Hall of Fame, went into his liquor store. And Shoeless Joe Jackson didn't say anything to Ty Cobb. And Ty Cobb finished his transaction and was getting ready to leave and stopped and looked at him and said, Joe, don't you know me? And Joe Jackson reportedly said, of course I do, Ty, but I just figured you wouldn't want to know me.
Wow.
Now that is sad.
That's too bad.
One of the greatest baseball players of his era.
Yeah.
And lived a lifetime of disgrace based on the belief that he was a part of the Black Sox scandal of it's 1909 or 1919, and I can't remember. I remember it was
1919.
1919. There you go. It was Mountain Landis was the commissioner of baseball at the time, and he played a hard line. Anyway, I'm glad that they're getting well, it's not that they are getting in. Their ban has been lifted, and as a result, the expectation is that voters will decide as to whether or not to bring them to the Hall of Fame. If they don't bring Shoeless Joe Jackson and Pete Rose in, I mean, take them to the Hall of Fame, talk about the controversy, talk about the scandal, talk about Pete Rose betting on baseball and all that crap. And did you know that we have a coworker that has a Pete Rose signed baseball?
Really?
Mm-hmm. Said that it's the baseball says, I'm sorry I bet on baseball, Pete Rose.
Wow.
And you know what I asked her?
What's that?
How much did that cost you? And she said $350. Oh, Pete Rose would sign anything you wanted him to sign for a price.
That you paid. Yeah.
But you had to pay. And his position was, got to make a living. Joseph is next up on the road. Joseph, thank you for the call and thank you for your patience. How are you, sir?
I'm fine. About yourself?
I'm well.
So the one thing that I kind of wanted to say was, that what you said earlier is like, you can take a hard line stance, but you have to have humanity. I 100% agree with you because that's what I've been saying for years. And there are ways that we could even improve the immigration system we have now. But that doesn't mean we don't enforce the laws that are on the books, because when you don't, there comes other situations like, they have to work illegally too. They don't just come here and live illegally, they work illegally too, which means they steal U.S. citizens' Social Security numbers, and then like mine, and they will work on them, which means that people like me will end up footing the bill for any type of extra tax obligations that they have. Or the U.S. government will eat it, which is also not a good thing. Stop. Guys, not okay. Anyway, but essentially, sorry.
No, it's all good. No, it's all good. It was funny. What was, you seem to have a critic, Joseph, in the background.
Oh, it's my 6-year-old. He was saying that his brother was taunting him.
Oh.
So, you know.
Well, stop taunting. Yeah. Well, don't be taunty. Don't be.
Yeah.
You get in trouble. Get in trouble if you're taunty. That's what they tell me.
But no, so, you know, it's what I was saying was essentially like, you know, how I had my identity stolen and it was used for work, which is just, it sucks. I get why they did it. Like you said, it's like there's a humanitarian reason that they're here, but it doesn't mean that you don't, because then that affects people's lives like mine who are already, like, I'm dealing with enough stuff. I did not need that extra on my plate, you know? So it's like there's a cost to not enforcing it. There's a cost to enforcing it without actually fixing the problem, which is there's two prongs to this problem. One is that we could undercut even the cartels, which is a security problem, and then the progressive position where, you know, we're really being too tough on the southern border because people are coming here to be refugees. We could be like, they could just apply, and we could create a program where we charge them just like we charge OPTs and H-1Bs to come here, as long as we vet them properly and we say very clearly, yeah, you can come, and then we finance that from their ongoing tax obligation or something like that. Other countries do it. We can do the same, which would actually increase our security, and it would be very much beneficial for them and beneficial to everyone on a holistic scale.
Here's what I've said. If we want to, and thank you, Joseph, for the call, and thank you for the reminder not to be taunting. That's a good plan, and tell the little ones in the car with you that Uncle Matt said hello. So I have a concept in my head, and I've shared it many, many times over the years, about how you address this issue, and nobody likes it, by the way. There are some hardliners that want to suggest that the way out of a situation that has been a growing problem for the last 40 years, right? Simpson-Mazzoli was passed, I want to say, in 1986. It was signed by Ronald Reagan in 1986. My year might be off by 1, maybe even 2. But it was in the midst of the Reagan era that Ronald Reagan compromised with the Democrats, who were in control of the House of Representatives and the Senate, I believe. And they passed Simpson-Mazzoli. Let me fact check myself real quick. And Simpson-Mazzoli was wholesale immigration reform. It was 1986. It was a U.S. law that aimed to address both illegal immigration and employer practices. It was Simpson-Mazzoli that brought us the I-9 form. Y'all know the I-9 form? Well, that uniformly changed the way that federal law looked at the hiring of legal and illegal people. It introduced employer sanctions for knowingly hiring unauthorized workers, established employment verification through the I-9 system, provided legalization pathways for undocumented immigrants who met specific criteria. Ronald Reagan acquiesced to the amnesty portion of Simpson-Mazzoli only if the Democrats would promise to fully fund border security to end this issue of illegal entry into the United States of America once and for all. Obviously, the Democrats did not follow up and fulfill their part of the bargain. Reagan trusted them, and they screwed him. They would not fund border security fully. So the illegal entry continued. But at that time, I wanted to say that 3.5 million people qualified under Simpson-Mazzoli, and they were amnestized. They were granted legal status in the United States of America. That was almost 40 years ago. Since then, not only have we not truly, outside of Donald Trump, attempted to do anything about the southern border and to stop the level of illegal entry. We have allowed the drug trade to continue. We have allowed those drug cartels on our southern border, across our southern border, to flourish and to thrive and to ply their trade into this country, whether it be drug smuggling or human smuggling. We have allowed, because of both political parties taking advantage of the circumstances of the situation, we've allowed this issue to go on. Now, who's ultimately in charge? Well, we could lay blame at the politicians' feet, or we could blame ourselves. And I think there's a lot of blame to go around in this circumstance. I would suggest that if we as a population truly demanded, as we are doing today, 25 years ago, for something to happen about this, something would happen about it. Why do you think Donald Trump exists? Donald Trump exists in 2016, and he exists today as president of the United... Do I have a break to take? I am so sorry. I just realized I'm as late can be, and I got on a tirade. So I'm going to suspend myself and for the next several minutes, and I will go to a break, and I will be back in a moment on Super Talk. My apologies to Weber, who was he wasn't looking at me as funny as he could have been, but I looked up at the clock and I realized it was time to go to a break. It's time to tell you about Volunteer Outfitters. That's what it's time to do. You know, it's Tuesday. That means it's T-Shirt Tuesday at Volunteer Outfitters. In Hendersonville, you go up to New Shackle Island Road. You get there before they close at 6 o'clock today. You tell them, Murphy told me to come get a T-shirt. All you have to do is buy anything else in the store, and you get a free T-shirt. Now, I am instituting a Murphy paid-for T-shirt Thursday. We'll talk about that more on Thursday. But bottom line is this. Today, if you get in there, T-Shirt Tuesday is in progress. And plus, they've got the best brands going. I love my banded britches. Go ask them about that. Murphy said he's got some orangey, mustardy-looking banded britches that I need to look at here in the store. You can find them at Volunteer Outfitters. You can also find team gear, whether it's volunteer team gear or other teams. They have team apparel for you, and college football will be here before you know it. They've got Huck. They've got Drake. They've got AFCO, Orca, Extra Tough Boots, all the brands that you know and love for the outdoorsman in your life, whether it's hunting attire, fishing attire, boating attire, golfing attire. They've got it until 6 today through Friday, until 4 o'clock on Saturday. They start at 10 a.m. in the morning on New Shackle Island Road. It's the one and only Volunteer Outfitters.
.5:30 on the dot. I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories, full forecast, and traffic in 5 minutes. Right now in Nashville, The Department of Homeland Security calling out Mayor Freddie O'Connell for his criticism of the ongoing joint illegal immigration enforcement operation between ICE and the Tennessee Highway Patrol. Assistant Secretary Tricia McLaughlin stating this operation resulted in getting gang members, sex offenders, and other violent criminals off Nashville's streets. And Nashville Mayor Freddie O'Connell stands by pro-illegal policies, claiming that the enforcement operations were done by, quote, people who do not share our values of safety. ICE claims to have arrested 196 illegal immigrants in Nashville since the operation started the weekend before last. And of those, 95, they say, had criminal convictions and pending criminal cases. 31 of them had re-entered the U.S. illegally after being removed. Nissan says it plans to cut 20,000 jobs and shut down 7 manufacturing plants globally. But it's unclear what it's going to mean for its Tennessee operations. Channel 4 says it asked Nissan about plants in Tennessee and was told our manufacturing operations in Tennessee and Mississippi are strategically important to the company's future in this crucial market, but there was no comment when pressed about a loss of jobs. And President Trump's in Saudi Arabia as part of a 3-nation Mideast tour, says the U.S. is partnering with the Arab nation through business ventures and the military.
In addition to purchases of $142 billion of American-made military equipment by our great Saudi partners, the largest ever. This week there are multi-billion-dollar commercial deals with Amazon, Oracle, AMD. They're all here. Uber, Qualcomm, Johnson & Johnson, and many, many more.
And turning to sports, Major League Baseball has ended the lifetime bans for Pete Rose and shoeless Joe Jackson, making them Hall of Fame eligible posthumously. That's the latest news. Traffic and weather next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News. All right, let's see what we got going on right now. Watkins Park stalled, right shoulder blocked. That's going to be 40 westbound past Charlotte Avenue. In Rural Hill, we got a crash, right lane blocked, 24 eastbound before Bell Road. Checking over here at Sylvan Park, a crash on the right shoulder, 40 westbound past White Bridge Pike, Briley Parkway. In Murfreesboro, a box in the right lane, 840 eastbound before Jefferson Pike. In Smyrna, a crash, Highway Patrol reporting 24 eastbound approaching Almaville Road. Traffic every 10 minutes every morning on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Hello, friends. Matt Murphy. You heard the woman talking about warming up with highs near 90. You know what that means? That means the bugs are out and about. And you know what bugs are doing right now, this time of year? I'm just telling you, they're making baby bugs. And when they make baby bugs, those baby bugs want a place to live. And they look at your place, and without protection from U.S. Pest, they go, it's a nice place to live. And they come in, and they eat your food, and they enjoy your AC, and they just hang around like kids after they graduate with nothing else to do. And you don't want that in your life. You want U.S. Pest. Now, I can't promise you pest protection for kids after graduation, but I can promise you pest protection from bugs and creepy crawlies and spiders and stink bugs and ladybugs and nasties and termites and all of those things. Well, I can't do it, but U.S. Pest can. They are the best at U.S. Pest. You see these beautiful flags that they fly over their banners, over their billboards all across Nashville, Tennessee, those American flags. They believe in this country, and they believe in a country pest-free. Go to uspest.com or call 590-1260. That's 590-1260. Tell them Matt Murphy sent you to U.S. Pest. Uh-huh. I always love this bumper. Always makes me feel funky.
Yeah, it's a good one.
Got a
Sounds like
funky
something
groove.
from, I think it's cake.
It is indeed.
Is this cake?
It is,
Yes, sir.
yeah.
Well, heck yeah.
That one's called Nugget.
Love it. Good stuff.
The lyrics are not radio friendly.
Well, that's also good to know. 615-737-9986. I know that Nincompoops in the News is coming up. I know that, Mike, you're waiting there in Old Hickory, and I'll get to your call in a moment. But I want to do this really quick to put as they say, put this baby to bed. Ray, I appreciate you listening. Ray got a lot of attention based on some conversation that we were having via the super text line earlier today. And Ray, I hope you're still listening because contrary to perhaps your belief, I take your concerns very seriously. And while we might have a disagreement about Nashville Rescue Mission and their ultimate goals, I want to get to the bottom of what you're talking about. And so, with that in mind, the folks over at Nashville Rescue Mission, at my request, have sent me their official response and position on Tennessee HB 811, which is the one you're discussing. 811, originally as presented, would have required some sort of documentation for shelters allowing individuals to come in and on their property. But Ray, well, keep listening, Ray. I know you're still at work. Because here is the official position. We'll get to Nincompoops in a second. Here is the position of Nashville Rescue Mission on the legislation. As originally introduced in March of 2025, the draft legislation to be enacted by the General Assembly of the state of Tennessee had that a charitable organization that provides housing to a person who the charitable organization knows is unlawfully present in the United States of America may be held liable for loss, damages, injury, or death resulting from a criminal offense committed by the person who is unlawfully present in the United States while the person is receiving housing service from the charitable organization if the organization's conduct in providing housing constitutes negligence, gross negligence, or willful or wanton misconduct. Eventually, by the way, the legislation was amended, Ray, and for anybody else, to exclude homeless shelters. So homeless shelters that provide temporary housing were not included in the legislation. But here's what Nashville Rescue Mission said about it. Nashville Rescue Mission's focus is on providing help and hope to anyone experiencing homelessness or hunger. We do not have a litmus test or require documents of the folks who come to the mission's doors seeking food and shelter. We're here to help hurting people get out of a dangerous situation or get out of dangerous situations, get off the streets or out of encampments to find hope and healing on a path to life recovery. Our goal in providing emergency services and temporary shelter is to help those who are unhoused overcome challenges and get on their feet to self-sustainability. If such a bill were signed into law, we'd obey the legal requirements. But we'd also need to consider the implications of being held liable for any criminal activity by someone whom we have no jurisdiction over outside of our shelter. There's a myriad of legal and logistical complications that this kind of legislation creates, putting an undue burden on charities like us who are in the human services sector and not the policing of immigration policies. Our intent is not to be a sanctuary city, but we are a sanctuary for people seeking safety from the dangers of living on the streets without basic necessities like food and water, as we help them on the road to being productive members of society. They went on to say, we are grateful to the legislators who subsequently amended the bill to exclude homeless shelters before being signed into law. That does not, and some of y'all might disagree with that. Some of you might agree with that. In no way, Ray, does that sound like they were blasting anybody. And I don't know why they would have, quote, blasted Governor Bill Lee for signing the legislation when once it got to his desk, it excluded homeless shelters. I have serious doubts that the Nashville Rescue Mission would enter that conversation when they were no longer a part of it. And so I hope that answers your questions, Ray, about their position on that issue. And frankly, I hope it encourages you to give to the Nashville Rescue Mission again, Ray, because I think they're a great organization. Let's get to Nincompoops in the news, shall we?
Nincompoops in the news.
It's time for Nincompoops in the news, where Ken Weaver, Chris Webber, and Matt Murphy look all over this great state of Tennessee. We stretch our approach, not just to Florida, but all across the United States of America, and sometimes the entire world. And we find those nincompoops and we present them to you on a daily basis. And out of the three, you get to pick one special nincompoop that you consider the nincompoop of the day. By the way, Weaver.
Yes, sir.
I don't know if you heard about this. I know you were busy wrapping up the newscast in the 6 o'clock hour. I did not get the count yesterday until late. You know, you accidentally repeated a story.
Yes, sir.
You would have won had not you been disqualified.
Oh, yeah, because I repeated Brother Chris's story.
But believe it or this is a compliment and a testimony to you, sir. The listeners love you and appreciate your presentation so much that you won anyway. And Chris and I had to announce the DQ. So Weber won. So congratulations.
Way to go, Brother Chris.
So you know, if you want to put a little.
Maybe I ought to just start doing y'all's stories.
If you
take one of our losing stories and represent
That's exactly what would happen.
And then he would
win. Yeah, he would win.
It saved me some work.
Mm-hmm. So if you just want to mark down yesterday as an asterisk, little asterisk on the overall total, because you remain in a commanding lead. And with that in mind, I'd like for Ken Weaver to go first.
All right. Well, I hope you boys haven't done this one.
All right.
I have a feeling Brother Chris might have done this one, but I'm not sure. All right, here we go. Drunk Patless man told police his name was Charles Dickens. The writer.
Has he ever seen the naked statues on DeMumfrey?
The writer here says it was a tale of two identities. 56-year-old Vincent Conroy was allegedly drunk and walking around a Florida parking lot, quote, wearing only a T-shirt with no pants. Early Wednesday morning, his private parts on public display. Conroy was spotted with 2 wine bottles and a can of beer. When confronted by police and asked to identify himself, the suspect provided the name Charles Dickens.
Well, there's an Oliver Twist.
It was later discovered, according to police, his name was actually Vincent Conroy. In addition to open container and exposure of sexual organs counts, Conroy was charged with providing a false name to law enforcement. And after a day locked up in the local Bleak House, Conroy was freed on his own recognizance by a county judge. That's in Florida, folks.
And he probably had great expectations that they would let him go.
Charles Dickens out there running around without any pants.
How about some Charles Dickens references today? Let's go.
Way to go, Brother Matt.
He had his Tiny Tim on display.
I hear he had fallen on hard times. And scene. That's all I got.
Hi, bah humbug.
Yeah, that's a good one. And from Florida, too.
Yep.
Mr. Weber?
Well, mine comes from the great state of Florida as well. On April 15th, St. Johns County deputies responded to a burglary in progress on Swallowtail Lane and discovered a naked man, had used a large wooden branch to shatter glass on a back door of a home. The residents of the home hid in another bedroom and called 911, as you would do. Alejandro Barzaga, 44-year-old man, was taken into custody by investigators who later learned that he lived nearby. So deputies went to Barzaga's home, where they found clothing and a purse outside and the garage door open. Upon entering the home, deputies discovered evidence of a large marijuana grow. St. John County Sheriff's Office narcotics detectives responded to the home to execute a search warrant. At that point, officers discovered 3 guns, $85,000 in U.S. currency.
Wow.
22 pounds of psilocybin mushrooms, 12 marijuana plants, 3 pounds of marijuana, more than 5 pounds of marijuana edibles, and 17 grams of ketamine in the home.
goodness.
They also found drug paraphernalia consistent with cultivation and sales.
Well, yeah.
Mr. Barzaga faces charges of armed burglary while naked. I added that part. Of an occupied dwelling and criminal mischief. And investigators say additional charges are still pending.
Naked.
Why was he naked?
Mushrooms.
Yeah, the shrooms probably.
Had to test his own product.
I've noticed a lot of these folks that take that PCP get naked. I don't know. I mean,
something about that.
I'm sure it's something about it, but
if you're going to sell drugs, I would think you probably shouldn't be taking those drugs.
Yeah,
that'd be a good decision.
Yeah, I mean
Right?
that's not going to be good for business.
Well, I mean,
or decision making.
and wear some pants.
And wear some breeches, for goodness sake.
Especially if you're going to be grabbing a tree branch and knocking people's back windows out.
By the way,
While they're home.
Yeah.
By the way, hearkening back to Ken's story, 2433 says Charles Dickens, according to police, he is more like little Jimmy Dickens.
Good one.
I thought it was funny. All right. Final story from me, Matt Murphy. Mine does not come from America's dongle. Mine comes from New Jersey, America's garbage can.
Yeah.
Authorities in Edison, New Jersey, say they executed the township's largest asset seizure to date during a raid Thursday at a massage parlor suspected of prostitution and money laundering, recovering more than $750,000. The year-long undercover investigation, led by the Edison Police Department's Vice Unit, targeted Bliss Spa on Woodbridge Avenue and the Edison home of its manager, 47-year-old Daniel Delino. Police say they recovered $650,000 in cash, most of it in one particular area that I'll get to in just a moment. They also recovered a 2025 Tesla Model Y, a Rolex, and a Cartier watch. Additional funds were seized from Deleto's bank accounts, bringing the total haul to $754,373. Deleto was charged with first-degree money laundering, second-degree promoting organized street crime, third-degree promoting prostitution, and fourth-degree maintaining a house of ill repute. Held in the Middlesex County Jail, no pun intended, pending a detention hearing, attorney information for Deleno was not listed according to court records. 4 other women, ages 26 to 45, from New Jersey and New York were charged with engaging in or soliciting prostitution. They found most of the cash money, almost $600,000 in cash, inside of a giant teddy bear at the prostitution house. It was...
Who would have known?
I don't understand how they figured this out. So apparently old boy knew he needed to hide some cash, and he stuffed it inside of the old teddy bear, a large teddy bear, and it was in a corner of the house. And how the hell did they know to look inside the teddy bear?
I was probably looking for drugs.
Probably looking for drugs, Ken. That's a good call. But almost $600,000 in cash was sewn inside of the giant teddy bear. I don't know if that makes Deleto a nincompoop or not, but he was running a prostitution ring, and I think that's good enough.
Well, think about this. $650,000 was quite heavy. I just did a quick Google search. If it was in $20 bills, it would be 70 pounds.
70 pounds?
That's if it was all 20s. I'm sure it wasn't all 20s.
And so some cop said, get that dadgum teddy bear. Oh, that's a heavy teddy bear.
Exactly.
That's exactly. They moved that teddy bear, and they're like, and they thought it was drugs. And then they got in here, and then they said, holy moly, this is almost $1 million. I mean, almost $600,000.
Yeah. Let's not, let's just leave this bear out of the report.
It's why I couldn't be in. Man, you know what? I couldn't. Yeah, let's
tough,
just.
wouldn't it?
Hey, put that bear in the back of the car, would you?
What's that bear done wrong?
I mean, that bear ain't done anything. My daughter needs a teddy bear. Got a birthday coming up. Yeah, you know what? I guess it's not a hard part of the job because you know what happens if you don't turn it in. But, I mean.
If you were the only one that found it, it'd be.
I mean, it's drug money. And they're not. What's the difference between $600,000 and $550,000?
It's true. Yeah, still a lot of money.
I mean, who am I stealing from? I'm stealing from bad people. I'm stealing from prostitutes and pimps and drug runners.
It's a house of ill repute.
It's a house of ill repute. I'm going to do good with this money. A portion of this money will go to good organizations. A small portion. And I'm a good organization. And then I would be in nincompoops in the news. That's what would happen.
And remember, Walter White, he was gonna do some good.
That's true. There you go. That's Nincompoops in the news. Give us a vote. 615-737-9986. 615-737-9986. 53 after the hour on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Hey, somebody wants you to do the math on if they were strippers, too. They might have been in ones and fives. So somebody wants you to do the math on that there. While I tell you about the Wellness Institute of Nashville. The Wellness Institute of Nashville is your one-stop shop for all things pain in your body, especially those of you who are experiencing significant back pain. I know I was, and I've had spinal decompression done on my back, and I have now made the switch to the Wellness Institute of Nashville. Not only is it close to my home over in Mount Juliet, but boy, oh boy, do they have the most modern technologies and techniques with Dr. Kevin Mitchell, Dr. Ashley, and the rest of the team. I've seen the facility. I've been in the facility. It's absolutely amazing. The latest in high-tech equipment to get you feeling better. The state-of-the-art equipment available to you to avoid those surgeries, because that's the last. It's an option, but it should be the last option. Spinal decompression is never been cheaper. As a matter of fact, they're offering 47% off, almost half off in celebration of the 47th President of the United States of America. The Big 47 offer in 2025 is ongoing. So call today at 615-246-5009, 246-5009, or go to painisbad.com. My name is Matt Murphy, and the Wellness Institute of Nashville has my seal of approval.
The Department of Homeland Security taking a swipe at Nashville Mayor Freddie O'Connell. This story and more coming up at 6 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Thank you, Ken Weaver, Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Right now, I need your support because I got a tie ball game here. Weber and Weaver are currently tied. Murphy, sadly, is lagging behind by 2 votes. So if you guys want to break the tie between Weber, I mean, I guess you could vote for me and I could overtake both of them, but whatever. One way or the other, I need a vote to break the tiebreaker before we declare a winner in Nincompoops in the News. We got another hour to go. Joe Biden apparently wasn't doing very well during his presidency. They considered a wheelchair. We'll talk about that next. I love how Jake Tapper's acting like all magnanimous, like he's breaking this. He's a whistleblower when he was a part of the cover-up. We will do that next. We will talk about feckless Freddie and his position on illegal immigration. Economic news looks pretty good for Donald Trump. And the Mexican screwworm, all in the final hour of The Murphy Show on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Six o'clock on the dot. I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories. Got the full forecast and traffic in 5 minutes. The Department of Homeland Security is taking a swipe at Nashville Mayor Freddie O'Connell for O'Connell's criticism of the ongoing illegal immigration enforcement operation in Nashville. DHS Assistant Secretary Tricia McLaughlin stating this operation resulted in getting gang members, sex offenders, and other violent criminals off Nashville streets. And Nashville Mayor Freddie O'Connell stands by pro-illegal policies, claiming that the enforcement operations were done by people who do not share our values of safety. So here are the latest numbers. ICE says it has arrested 196 illegal immigrants since the weekend before last in Nashville. Of the 196 ICE arrests, 95 reportedly had prior criminal convictions and pending criminal charges. 31 were individuals who were previously removed after re-entering the U.S. illegally. And we're learning more about the Nashville Rescue Mission employee who is recovering from being shot nearly a dozen times on Sunday. The mission's president and CEO, Glenn Cranfield, telling WTN's Matt Murphy Show it's a miracle that Cedric Wilson survived.
Cedric was in surgery for 11 hours for the for 3 hours for the 11 gunshot wounds. They stopped the bleeding, and miraculously, Matt, no organs were damaged from the shooting. 11 shots.
Oh, wow.
Hitting absolutely zero organs.
Cranfield says the mission has met with Wilson's fiancée and 3 teenage sons to determine how to help them during his recovery. Wilson was shot by Tadarius Hunt, whom police shot and killed on Monday after police say Hunt fired at them first. Right now in Tennessee, Metro Police say they arrested a 17-year-old Maplewood High School senior this morning. A loaded semi-automatic pistol discovered inside his backpack. Maplewood's Evolve detection system apparently alerted staff to check the 17-year-old as he came into the building. He's being charged at juvenile court with bringing a weapon onto school property and unlawful gun possession. This is the second time this new technology has hit on a gun at school in Nashville, the first one last week at Antioch High School. And President Trump's first trip overseas of his second terms resulted in a pledge by Saudi Arabia to invest $600 billion in the U.S. for everything from energy, military, and health. Trump also announcing he wants to lift sanctions on Syria at the urging of Saudi Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman and Turkey's President Erdogan.
I will be ordering the cessation of sanctions against Syria in order to give them a chance at greatness.
And former President Biden couldn't recognize George Clooney, who is one of the world's most recognizable celebrities, according to a forthcoming book about President Biden's final years in office.
In an article they've written for The New Yorker, CNN's Jake Tapper and Axios' Alex Thompson say actor George Clooney was shaken to the core when at a star-studded L.A. fundraiser last June, then President Biden seemingly failed to recognize him. The authors say Biden, who had just returned from a summit in Italy, had to be prompted that he was shaking hands with the Hollywood legend. Just weeks later, after Biden's disastrous debate performance, Clooney was one of the earliest and most prominent Biden supporters to urge him to drop out of the race.
That's the latest news. Traffic and weather next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News. Sylvan Park, accident right shoulder blocked, according to police. Going to be 40 westbound past White Bridge Pike, Briley Parkway. And Antioch got a stalled vehicle on the left shoulder. TDOT says it's 24 eastbound after Haywood Lane. Then in Jolton, got a crash reported by TDOT 24, both east and westbound. They're at New Hope Road. In Madison, police reporting a crash 65 northbound at Briley Parkway, Ellington Parkway. In Smyrna, the right lane blocked by a crash, according to police, 24 eastbound before Sam Ridley Parkway. Then at Watkins Park, a stalled vehicle blocking the right shoulder, according to TDOT, 40 westbound past Charlotte Avenue. And again, a crash in Smyrna reported by the Highway Patrol. This is going to be 24 eastbound approaching Almaville Road. Traffic every 10 minutes, every morning on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Hey, what's up, gang? It's the Matt Murphy Radio Show, the final hour of this day, Tuesday, May 13. Hope everybody's doing well. I'm doing great. I just found candy and peppers in the studio.
Hey.
And the peppers have a lid on them that say Ken.
Ooh, lucky you.
So,
all right.
So apparently you got some pickled peppers.
Pickled peppers.
And you didn't even have to pick them.
You didn't have to pick the pickled peppers. It's not a peck of pickled peppers. How many pickled peppers could Ken pick?
Pickled pepper.
By the way, I'm not trying to be, and there's also candy. And I'm attempting to ascertain if it's Dan Mandis, because I happened to be listening right at the end of the show when they were talking about my impersonation of Dan Mandis. Did y'all hear that, by the way?
No.
So I apparently did a brief impersonation of Mandis. I didn't even know what I was doing. And someone told Mandis. So Mandis made KGB look through 4 hours of radio show and find it. Which is an ultimate Mandis thing to do.
Yes, it is.
And they played it, and several people commented that they thought I did a pretty good Mandis. I didn't think I did a very good Mandis, but whatever. But it was during that conversation that someone alerted Dan to the fact that there was someone in the lobby waiting on him to give him something. And I'm wondering if this was not the gift that Mandis either did or did not receive, but it's Reese Cups. There's pickled peppers for Ken. It says Ken on the top of the lid, so I assume those are for Ken.
Huh.
Or either it's from Ken. Maybe.
Ken, are you giving out pickled peppers?
No, sir.
Well, then.
I don't know how to make them.
There's more than one Ken. Could be another Ken.
Yeah, it could be another Ken.
Just saying. Yeah.
Well, I mean, they
could have been whoever dropped it off.
Why don't you want Ken to have the pickled peppers?
No, he's free to have the pickled peppers.
I want those. I want those peanut butter cups.
No, I already called dibs on those.
No. The pickled peppers are yours, pal.
No.
The Reese Cups or the M&Ms, which I would be really angling for the M&Ms. But let me tell you something. If there's a bowl of peanut M&Ms in a room, I cannot resist them.
No, sir.
Yeah.
You cannot, especially if they have just come out of the fridge.
I've never even thought of that. What are you doing over there? I've never thought of that.
I put chocolate in the freezer or the fridge.
Oh, my goodness gracious.
And then I
freezer.
eat it. Makes it easier to dip in your peanut butter.
Okie dokie. My goodness gracious. But if I'd never put another regular M&M in my mouth, I'd be fine with that. I don't know. Regular M&Ms, I don't have anything for them.
Yeah, they wouldn't be my first choice, but I have experienced them, and I thought, you know what, these are pretty good, actually. If you want something a little sweet.
You know what I like about them? They don't melt it. They don't melt in your hand.
Yeah, I never bought that.
What, the peanut ones?
If you You're right.
I mean, come on. I've had red fingers a lot. From M&M.
Because I remember when I was a kid running with a handful of M&Ms, and they melted in your hand.
Yep.
All you got to do is hold them there. And all right, so while we're downshifting to more fun things, I have to tell you, I'm not trying to be persnickety here, but I try to keep it on the up and up. I asked for additional votes on the nincompoops.
Yes, sir.
And I got 17 additional votes between the time that I asked and the time that we came back on the air.
All right.
Of the 17 additional votes, 3 were for me, and of the rest of the 14, 7 were for Weber and 7 were for Ken. So I'd hate to have a tie.
Yeah.
So y'all help me out. We'll break the tie and see who's the big winner. We're all winners now because there's one bag of regular M&Ms. There's 2 bags of Reese Cups and a jar of pickled peppers. And there's names on the only name on any of it is the name on top of the pickled peppers. So a case could be made that all of this is Ken Weaver's.
Maybe whoever dropped it off is still listening, and they can let us know.
I thought they brought donuts this morning. There was a big old box of donuts in here this morning.
I miss those days.
The morning folks get more stuff than we get in the
Remember we used to get donuts like every week.
Yes.
The guy would drop us off donuts, and they'd have those big head-sized apple fritters. Ooh.
Yeah. Some outfit from Kentucky.
Yeah. Sucker for an apple fritter, man.
They were good.
Oh, my goodness. It almost made getting up at 2 o'clock in the morning worth it.
Almost.
Well,
Almost.
yeah, it did then.
Oh, by the way, I've just gotten this correspondence from Miriam. I love these. This is on my Facebook Messenger. Hey. You seem like somebody that enjoys a good time and good vibes. Hope you have a good day.
Yes, sir.
So should y'all
give her your bank account?
Should I? Okay, very good.
Just start there.
Just do it right now.
Yeah, just cut to the chase.
That's what I was thinking about doing. Block, delete, and we're done with that. Which leads me to, I did not alert Chris Weber to this because I wanted him to play the Letters song. Y'all know the letters. We get letters. I told him this a long time ago that we don't get letters anymore, but I get the oddest random emails that one could possibly imagine. And I received one last night that I wanted to share with you. And I'm certain that many of you can identify with this. This random email, let's see, where did it go here? This random email is from, oh gosh, now I can't find it. You know what? I should probably prepare better. So I'm going to prepare better, and I'm going to do that in a moment. We've got a lot of tiebreakers, and someone wants to know if we've ever had a cherry fritter. Well, I feel like that's the beginning of a bad joke. I've never had. I don't know that I've ever had a cherry. I've had a peach fritter. I've had an apple fritter. I don't know if I've ever had a cherry fritter.
I could get down with a cherry. I love cherry.
I do too.
Oof.
I do too.
That sounds delicious.
One of my favorite memories in my life was going up from Ruidoso, New Mexico, driving up to a place called Cloudcroft, New Mexico. 9,500 feet above sea level, roughly. And there was an old general store in that Cloudcroft area. And it was like an old-timey general store. And we went in there, and they sold cherry, cider.
Never had
and
that.
I'd never had cherry cider in my life, and it was delicious. And it was just a moment in time where the sun was going down and the cherry cider was going down, and it was so good. Anyway, I don't know why CNN seems so grumpy about reporting the news, but apparently they're pretty grumpy about reporting this morning. Let's listen to Wolf Blitzer report on inflation rates.
Wallet. U.S. inflation slowing, I should say, to its lowest rate in more than 4 years. That, according to April's Consumer Price Index report. It's an unexpected and very welcome development that's defying economists' expectations amid President Trump's ongoing trade war. Let's go live right now to CNN business and politics correspondent Vanessa Yurkevich, who's watching all of this in New York. Vanessa, walk us through this morning's report. Where do things stand?
All right. So Vanessa then goes on to talk about what is ultimately a very good inflation rate. Inflation is down, lower than it has been since 2021. Y'all remember when all these knuckleheads on hashtag #NeverCNN told us that Donald Trump wasn't going to get the inflationary rate down? Do y'all remember when all of them, not last year, not 6 months ago, last 2 weeks ago, they were telling us, well, the inflationary rate's never going to go down with all of these tariffs. And they've been proven wrong time and time and time again. Why in the world does Wolf Blitzer, I mean, listen to how grumpy.
U.S. inflation slowing, I should say, to its lowest rate in more than 4 years.
Its lowest rate in more than 4 years. They sound so grumpy. I wonder why that is. Highlight the things that are bad, downplay the things that are good, grumpy, grumpy, grumpy. Things that are good for America are bad for them because they hate Donald Trump just that much. And you cannot hate them enough. You cannot hate them enough. And just when you think you've hated them enough, here comes Jake Tapper.
You have an entire White House press corps, though, following him around. And I'm just curious as to whether or not this kind of trying to hide what was happening with the president at the time had an impact on the press corps. Like, why didn't we hear some of these details from what they actually saw and were dealing with trying to get information?
Well, Alex Thompson and I were on the case, as were lots of other reporters, trying to figure out what was going on behind the scenes. But the bottom line is the White House was lying, not only to the press, not only to the public, but they were lying to members of their own cabinet.
Speaking of lying, just so y'all know, Jake Tapper is lying as he's speaking to us right now.
They were lying to White House staffers. They were lying to Democratic members of Congress, to donors about how bad things had gotten. And in fact, Alex and I started writing this book after the election.
Why did you start writing the book after the election, bud?
Of 2024. And we spoke with more than 200 people, most of whom, almost all of whom, were Democrats, and almost all of whom wouldn't be honest with us or wouldn't be candid with us until after the election. And then after.
Hey, so this is a fascinating admission. So this dude, Jake Tapper, writes a book with the other guy. And it's all about blowing the whistle on Joe Biden and how bad he had gotten by the end of his presidency and how bad he was 2023 into 2024. And by the way, Joe Biden was pretty bad in 2020 when he was running for the presidency. One of the reasons that Joe Biden was able to win the presidency, well, there were a lot of reasons, shenanigans being the primary reason, a lot of shenanigans, a lot of late voting, a lot of miscounting, a lot of crap that went on, and we all know it. We all know it. 8.5 million votes did not just magically disappear between 2020 and 2024. They never existed in 2020, and we all know it. I'm not here to relitigate that, but it's just baloney. But one of the main reasons he was able to do that is because he did not have to get out on the campaign trail. But Jake Tapper wants to act like this grandiose whistleblower. These reporters weren't duped. They knew. They knew just like every Democrat knew. Joe Biden was unfit for office, and they damn sure knew it. And they just sat around and did nothing about it. They put America in a constitutional crisis. They put this country in crisis. And they'll never admit it. And Jake Tapper wants to pretend like he wasn't a part of all of this. We have the receipts, bud. We heard you downplaying it for years, and now a day that your book is out, you want to act like you weren't a part of it? You most certainly were a part of it. A repair job of the highest order on his health and their cover-up. And they'll never admit what they... You know what I would have respect for? I would have respect if Jake Tapper wrote a book called We Lied. And the whole book was about how they hate Donald Trump and they believe that Donald Trump is so wrong for America that they took it upon themselves to obfuscate and mislead the American people with regard to the health of Joe Biden for the purposes of trying to get him reelected. And only when they realized they could no longer do that did they abandon Joe Biden and follow the storyline of Kamala Harris to the point that she lost the election in November. And they admit, we lied because we hate Donald Trump just that much and we're sorry. I would have a lot more respect for that book than I have for this crap. Although it's nice to see some of this stuff on record. And it is absolute elder abuse what Jill Biden, let me tell you something. That woman is, I don't use evil often. Y'all don't hear me use those words very often, but that is borderline. That's like telling the caretakers at the nursing home to let grandpa drink the whiskey and smoke because he really likes it. And don't worry, he can drive when he does it. That's bad news. 22 after the hour on Super Talk. Let's talk about Grace Point Healthcare for a moment. Affordable, convenient, and comprehensive medicine done the old-fashioned way. Now, when I say that, that means, the way that we remember it, where you go in, you can get an appointment the same day or the next day. Isn't that nice? You can do that at Grace Point Healthcare. Secondarily, you know exactly what your healthcare is costing you. Matter of fact, if you enter the Smart Care Plan, the basic Smart Care Plan is $69 a month, and it includes free office visits and free basic labs and diagnostic testing, and no long wait times available. Now, whether you enter into the basic Smart Care Plan or not, they still have appointment times ready to go for you. They'll even do house calls when you are feeling too bad to leave the home. Grace Point Healthcare treats the entire body. It's a comprehensive medical approach, and they do not allow pharmaceutical companies, they do not allow insurance companies to get between your relationship with you and your doctor. That's what they mean when they talk about the old-fashioned way. You really can afford exceptional medicine at your convenience. Call for an appointment, 599-6868, 599-6868. Grace Point Healthcare. Grace Point Healthcare is modern medicine delivered the old-fashioned way.
Weather can change in an instant, and you need to be prepared for any outcome. That's why Generator Supercenter of Nashville will help keep your family safe and connected. We make buying a backup generator simple and easy, with financing options available, free in-home estimate, turnkey installations, no worry warranty, and most importantly, the monitoring and service of your fully installed generator. Come see us at our location in Nashville or visit us online. Generator Supercenter of Nashville. We serve all Middle Tennessee.
Think about you, Ken Weaver. Super Talk 99.7 WTN. I think 92.96 is picking on me. 92.96 writes in, hey, I want to hear Matt say obfuscate again, please. It's a toughie. It's a toughie for me.
Obfuscate? Is that right?
I just want to make sure I'm using it. I think I'm using it properly. Hold on. Let's find out together. Obfuscation. The action of making something obscure, unclear, or that's exactly what they're doing. They're obfuscating. Obfuscation. In progress by Jake Tapper and others at #NeverCNN. 28 after the hour, we try not to do that. We try to make things as clear as an unmuddied lake on the Matt Murphy Show on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Speaking of making things clear, I was proud to see my good buddy. I've had numerous conversations in person and on radio with the man Charles Barkley, former NBA great, now commentator for the NBA on TNT. Charles Barkley came out earlier this week and in a wide-ranging interview on Outkick. He with Dan Dakich, and I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly. The NBA Hall of Famer and former Auburn basketball star spoke out against allowing men to compete against women in sports under the guise of being transgender. Barkley, now an analyst on TNT, as mentioned, declared men should not play sports against women. And then he went on to say that anybody that believed that they should is, quoting now, stupid. I'm going to make this very simple for you, Dan, Barkley replied when asked about Nike reportedly funding a youth transgender athlete study. Men should not play sports against women. I'm not going to get into all of the bleep. That bleep starts with a bull and ends with a bleep. That's going on out here in the world today. You know, it's interesting. I always sit back and look at this stuff, and let me tell you something. I love gay people. I love transgender people. I'm against any form of discrimination, period. I love my gay friends. I love my transgender friends. But I'm not going to get into all this stuff that's going around. Men should not play sports against women. If anybody thinks that, I think they're stupid. Like I say, I support the gay community 100%. I support the transgender community 100%. But I do not, under any circumstances, under zero, think that men should play sports against women. And if anybody has a problem with that, they're going to have to get over it because I'm not going to change. I just think it's wrong, period. Way to go, Charles. Chuck is unafraid of being canceled, as he should be. And he's 100% correct. You don't have to hate anybody. I don't hate gay folks. And I feel, some of these performance artists need to go to hell. But for those who are genuinely gender dysphoric, I feel bad for those people. And I don't have a problem. If you want to live your life of your choosing, just don't expect to go into bathrooms that aren't the gender of your birth. Don't expect to play sports that aren't the gender of your birth. And don't expect that civilized society is going to accommodate for you. Society's not set up for you. You are, by your own definition, an anomaly. And I'm not trying to hate on you. I'm just trying to keep it real. You set those standards, not me. You're the one that says a mistake was made, not me. I don't say that. You say that. So if you say that, don't expect that the rest of the world will be set up for you to accommodate you. Now, if there are enough people at some point down the road that want to start a transgender basketball league, great, have at it. You can play shirts and skins or whatever. Good for Chuck. Good for saying it like it is. You gotta give him credit, and I have such an appreciation for folks like this. I don't have to agree with you 100% of the time, but I appreciate the fact that you're consistent and you're honest and you're unafraid. 31 after the hour on Super Talk. There are a lot of diagnoses out there around. You know, there's a pill for everything nowadays. But if your diagnosis for your European automobile is incorrect, what are you going to do about it? Well, you want to go to some place that gives you the right diagnosis the first time around. And I would encourage you to head over to Eurofix. Do not make a major decision on your automobile before you get that second opinion. And I would encourage you to get the first opinion from Eurofix themselves. Eurofix is the home for second opinions. Before you spend hundreds or even thousands of dollars on European vehicle auto repair, you need to go to the man with the plan. Aaron Stokes knows what he's doing. It could not only save your vehicle's life, but it could actually save you a lot of stress and a lot of money. They will never pressure you to do anything that you don't need to do. They offer you a 15-minute no-wrench inspection to make sure that they understand what's going on with your unit. And at Eurofix, you get a 3-year nationwide warranty and a free loaner car with every repair appointment. At Eurofix, you never pay dealer prices either. Eurofix has 5 locations to serve: Franklin, 100 Oaks, Murfreesboro, Belmead, and now in Mount Juliet. Call 844-EUROFIX or visit myEurofix.com. When a mother with an unplanned pregnancy is deciding about the future of her unborn child, it can be overwhelming. She wants to make the right decision, but society and those around her are telling her that her baby is not a life and suggesting to her that it will not impact her in the long term. Preborn, their whole ministry is to love these women, to empower them with the choice of life. And it's an eternal choice and an eternal moment. I invite you to meet Stephanie, who was scared and afraid that she did not deserve love and support. After receiving love and support from a caring preborn clinic, she experienced her eternal moment when she met her child on ultrasound. She left the clinic feeling hopeful and now is blessed with a 5-year-old son. When you support the ministry of preborn, you're supporting pro-life clinics with free ultrasounds. That helps empower a mother to choose wisely, to choose life. Your tax-deductible donation of $28 monthly is reaching eternity. To get involved, simply dial pound 250 and say the keyword baby. That's pound 250 baby, or visit preborn.com/Murphy. Would you do that? Preborn.com/Murphy. I encourage you to give as you can today. I love these personalized messages, like one to Ken Weaver. By the way, these are Ken's peppers. Per Boss Mandandis.
Ex-boss.
Former boss Mandandis. Ex-boss Mandandis. Who early this morning in the 5 o'clock hour, I was up early this morning, and in the 5 o'clock hour, he called, I was surprised. Dan called being a manager. And I'm going to quote now. I think I have this quote correctly. It was a complex one, but I think I have this right. Amanda said that being a manager was, and I'm quoting now, crap.
Yeah, I can hear him say that.
Yeah. It's crap. Anyway, former boss Mandanda said that the peppers were Weavers, and that the candy given to us by loyal listener Donna was for anybody that wanted some. So I wanted some, and I was against nutritional information on packaging because I didn't think that was any of the government's business. But I just want to say I'm sorry. Because it is saving my ass regularly. Because you feel moments of weakness. And then I just went and I looked. And, these the little mini Reese cups, the little miniature ones, 130 calories per serving.
Okay.
Three little miniatures.
Oh, that just won't do.
I mean,
I got to get RFK on the phone. We got to change that. Get up and do at least 6. I mean,
yeah.
What good does it do if you only eat 3?
3? What are you talking about? What are we, communists? For the love. But anyway, officially, those are yours. But anyway, 4626, speaking of Ken, says, hey, tell Ken he can have 24 East. Damn this road.
I think he feels the same way.
I believe he does feel the same way. By the way, you correspond with us on the phone lines, and I so do appreciate that. You correspond with us via the super text line, and I so appreciate that. But occasionally, the correspondence extends to emails and letters.
Letters, oh, we get letters. We get your letters every day.
And by the way, I know that I'm stealing this from previous hosts. I don't care. Okay, so you don't need to send me a letter telling me. All right. I like it.
Oh, boy. Mailman, mail today.
Our letter today comes to us from GGUZMAM at ucbscz.edu.bo.
Wow, that's a mouthful.
Sounds legit. I'm going to read it as it came to me via my email just 2 days ago at 7:14 in the p.m. And the letter is as follows. By the way, before I read this letter, it's been nice knowing you guys, but I'm probably not going to be on the radio very much longer.
Uh-oh.
I think you'll understand why after I read you this letter.
All right.
Best regards. I am Sigrid Rousing. Why is that funny?
I don't know. It just is.
Well, I don't
it's
know
a good name.
I don't know why that's funny. Sigrid and I are close now.
Oh.
We've corresponded.
I beg your pardon.
He sent me a letter. I am Sigrid Rousing, a Swedish investor and philanthropist. Your email address was provided by Google Inc., randomly selected as an active user on the web. Don't make me laugh. Don't make me laugh. Don't make me laugh.
Very specific.
My email address was selected by Google Inc. randomly. I'm an active user on the web. Chris. This year, I have decided to donate 5% of my wealth to both charities and individuals due to the coronavirus pandemic that has paralyzed the entire world. I give you 1 million euros, and I urge you to help someone around you with whatever little you can. Whatever little you can.
You peon.
Contact me at this email address, and it's sitholedilo@gmail.com. That is sitholedillo.
That sounds legit.
It sounds dirty. For more information, best regards, SR. Sigrid.
My email must move really slow. Where does he say from? Sweden?
He's from Sweden. He's a Swedish investor and philanthropist.
Yeah.
Well, when you get really, really busy with that philanthropy, maybe you get behind.
Yeah. It got hung up. It's probably got hung up. Sometimes you send an email and it just sits there in the outbox.
And you're like, hey, I sent you the email. Did you not get? No, I didn't get the email.
Yeah.
Oh, no. It was in drafts.
Yeah.
Maybe it was in drafts.
It just sat there for 5 years.
So this reminded me, years and years ago, Erica got a letter, an email from the Netherlands lottery.
Ooh.
Telling her that she was a winner.
Nice.
This is like 20 years ago. And she called me in. She was doing emails. And this is when we had a desktop computer. We didn't even have laptops. And she said, read this. And it was like, dear ma'am, blah, blah, blah. You've won the lottery. You've won 8,500 euros or whatever. congratulations. And it was all detailed about, you need to click on this link or that thing. And she said, do you think this is legit? And I said, well, sure. Just tell me when you entered the Netherlands lottery. And she told me that I could leave now. You can leave now.
Yeah.
So I don't, should I respond to Sigrid, do you think?
He just wants you to respond, does he?
He wants me to contact him at an email address that but it's weird. It's a different email address than he sent this through.
Imagine
That's
that.
odd. So maybe he's trying to weed out he wants just the real serious folks that want this. 1 million euros. What would that be in American?
Be close to $1 million, I think.
I mean, I think we did that before, didn't we?
Let's see.
It's pretty good.
Euros.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it'd be very close. Let's see. Add some zeros.
Uh-huh.
It would be $1.1 million.
Nice.
Almost 1.2.
Now, I don't know that would keep me away from the radio very long, but I might take an extended vacation. Maybe go over there to Sweden to pick it up in person.
Yeah, personally thank him.
Yeah, maybe
His
so.
generosity.
I bet you that Sigrid is going to need some sort of transfer fee. What do you think?
Well,
Probably.
those things do cost money.
Probably standard.
Yeah.
To get it over here, it's probably going to need about $1,000. Probably need my bank account information as well.
Well, that makes the transfer easier.
Makes it easier. So we could probably get it over here with $1,000 or my bank account information, either way. But one way or the other, I'll update you. So there you go. I get letters.
Nice.
Yeah. So
very nice.
I thought it was good too. All right. When we return, we'll wrap up with a couple of things. One, the Mexican screwworm. What the heck is this? Have y'all heard about the Mexican screwworm? Apparently, it's causing a problem. And the economic news, I mentioned Wolf Blitzer seems very upset about this, but gasoline prices, as we mentioned yesterday, are coming down, 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 and inflation is going down, down, down as well, which goes against the language being used by the jerks. Plus, I have officially decided that this radio show will be news-free on one front. On one front. There is a news story. Y'all are welcome to guess. There is a news story that you're going to have to go elsewhere to get coverage of. And I'll tell you exactly what that is coming up in a moment. It's 48 after the hour on Super Talk. Friends, USS stands for United Structural Systems. United Structural Systems has been hard at it since 1994, helping people just like you, members of our Middle Tennessee community, live stable and dry lives inside of their homes. Folks, it is the bottom line that if you have problems with your foundation, these are not going to go away, especially if it's causing musty or moldy odors or mildew smells in your basement or your crawl space. That means that it's allowing water to get in, and that's going to advance the problems considerably. Homeowners simply trust USS. They are problem solvers. When they come out to your home, they're going to address the issue. They're going to fix the issue, nothing more, and they're going to get you on with your lives. Keeping homes stable and dry since 1994. There's a reason that almost 30,000 customers have selected USS, because they are the best. Call them today at 615-488-7855, 488-7855, or go online to USSTN.com. If you don't know the warning signs, USSTN.com. Oh, a lot of guesses as to the stories we will not cover moving forward on the Matt Murphy Show on Supertalk 99.7 WTN. Nobody has guessed it properly yet or correctly yet. Boo writes in and says, Murphy lost a bet. I did not lose a bet. I am assuming that has to do with my lack of hair on my chinny chin chin.
Guess he's not a fan.
Boo also said, just don't go Giuliani with the hair dye. No, that will not be happening. Also, hey, I'm proud to note, someone said, oh, no more Pope news, Murphy. No. We will do Pope news when Pope news is appropriate, and I have some Pope news. Apparently, according to NBC News, says as the first Catholic Pope from the United States, is there another type of Pope?
I would not think so.
Because they write, as the first Catholic Pope from the United States. I mean, did they have to say? I mean, okay, whatever. I mean, maybe there's a different kind of Pope. I don't know. As the first Catholic Pope from the United States, Pope Leo XIV has an ancestry that traces back to the Creole, as well as the free people of color from Louisiana. So not only, according to NBC News, not only do we have the first Pope from the United States of America, first black Pope.
Wow.
How about that? So
it's big stuff.
And this caused a change of opinion on the part of, what's her name, Sunny Hostin on The View. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
I mean, she's a latecomer on The View. I don't watch The View. I don't follow The View. I don't listen to The View. But apparently she had a change of heart. She did not like this Pope because, too Catholic-y. She literally said she didn't like the Pope because of his position on homosexuality. It was like, what?
It's the Pope.
It's the Pope. I don't think the Catholic Church I don't think they've changed their stand on it. But she changed her tune. She said, "Oh, I did some research, and I realized he's Black Pope." So it is embarrassing. So because he's Black Pope, she's all in. She's all good with the new Pope. No, we'll do Pope News when Pope News is appropriate. And Pope News was appropriate there because Sonny says, this Pope, Black Pope, American Pope, all good with this Pope. No. The news that you will not be hearing about on the Matt Murphy Show now or at any point in the future is the Diddy trial. I'm not doing it.
Oh.
I'm not doing it. Now, look, Weber, if you want in on it, if y'all want Chris Weber to do a daily Diddy update.
Well, no, I didn't say anything about that.
Oh, my goodness. Actually, now that I think about it, that'd be pretty good.
Daily Diddy update.
Here's Weber with the daily Diddy.
Still a perv.
Back to you.
That is all.
You will not be hearing about the Diddy trial from this radio show. I care, and I'm just going to offer you an explainer why. And the only time you'll get any information about Sean Diddy Combs here on out is if someone asks me actively about the case or whatever. I could not care less about Sean Combs, except that apparently he abused people. And if it is proven guilty in a court of law that he abused people against their will, can't do that. You can have consenting adults over to your house, and you can have as many freak-offs as you want, and you can be as freaky-deaky as you want in the bedroom or otherwise. But if they are non-consenting, or if they are unable to consent, or if they are too young to consent, then you have to go to jail. And it does not matter how big of a star you are. Ask Bill Cosby. You get a jail cell. And based on the video evidence alone of you beating the hell out of a woman in a hotel hallway, I think you need to be in a jail cell. Sean Diddy Combs is apparently a scumbag of the highest order. But being a scumbag doesn't mean that you belong in jail. But if you did what you're accused of doing, I hope you are in jail for the rest of your hopefully short life. But that's all you'll hear about it, because I don't care about the details, salacious or otherwise. And by the way, before you get started, I didn't remember when the Amber Heard and Johnny Depp thing.
Yeah.
I didn't give a rip about that either.
Yeah, I didn't either.
And I got sucked into it enough to think, well, maybe Johnny Depp's getting the railroad here, but Johnny Depp's a freak. Most of these stars are absolute freaks because they have unlimited amounts of money and power. They surround themselves. Why do you think Elvis Presley died at the age of 42? Because he was surrounded by nobody would tell him no. He surrounded himself by people who would only say yes, and he had unlimited power and money. And it led to his early demise. Michael Jackson, same deal. A lot of these stars. But those that survive, they eventually get caught up in the nastiness of this world. All right, so I've been called Babe Ruth today. I've been called Jonathan Winters today. And that's fine.
I can kind of see that, actually.
That's fine. That's fine. Y'all do whatever you need to do. But, Andy, when you call me Roseanne.
Ooh.
Whew, I also got called the old lady from the Goonies. That was another one. Mrs. Fertelli.
Yeah, Mama.
Mama Fertelli.
Yeah. That's terrible.
I've been raising y'all right. I've been raising y'all right because y'all are mean. Mean! We'll continue the meanness tomorrow at 3 o'clock. Until then, have a wonderful evening, folks. Hug your loved ones. So long, everybody.